injury, heartbreak, and devastation. We saw it all in round 1 of the GNCC series just 2 weeks ago in South Carolina. Ben Kelly out with a hurt shoulder, Thad Duvall out with a hurt knee, and bike problems for Andrew DeLong left a checkered flag for Caleb Russell at the end of 3 hours. These injuries bring a new wave of contenders in, as Ricky Russell and Josh String rounding out the podium, and Stu Baylor dials in a new ride with Factory One Sherco. The landscape changes this weekend as we head to the Sandy Track in Florida, and there's only one word to describe the terrain in the southernmost part of the U.S. gnarly. By the end of this event, we'll see 3-foot whoops in some of the deepest ruts. These pros are ready for battle, and you're watching it all live here on RacerTV.com.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing? Hello and welcome to round number 2 of America's Premier Off-Road Racing Championship, the 2020 GNCC Series presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. And of course, today's live racing coverage being brought to you on RacerTV.com by our good friends at Motorcycle Mechanic Institute. I'm Rodney Tomlin alongside Mikey Waynes and Johnny Gallagher today. And I'll tell you what, as we get set to set the stage for the two wheels today, Mikey, what a big day we have coming off of that first round of racing. So many things happening over there. I mean, we came into the season already with a lot of changes. Yeah. A lot of changes. Like we said on the ATV, some of the biggest and most changes we've seen in probably one season. But combine them all together, this is amazing what we're looking at. And of course, with the Yamaha switching things up, Ricky Russell moving over to the Husqvarna team, and of course with that round 1, oh my, you had Trevor Bollinger. He came into this one out already for Husqvarna, and unfortunately they lost Thad Duvall. So there's a lot of things going on there. As far as the racing goes, let's catch up with that first as we take a look at our Specialized race recap.
Yeah, we take a look. Caleb Russell comes out and his last full season chasing that last championship. Doesn't skip a beat, does this Caleb Russell thing. Ricky Russell capturing second, and rounding out the box was a surprise to me, Josh String.
Yeah, Josh actually had a very strong day all day pushing. He got maybe a mid to a little back further in the mid part of the pro class, but he was consistent, he was solid, he pushed all day long and got in a position, never let up. Probably one of the biggest surprises may have been the Sherco ride of Stu Baylor.
Yes.
Baylor and his brother Grant Baylor, Stu Baylor and Grant Baylor, both quite far back in the pack. First couple of laps literally having to break their brand new machines in on the first lap of racing. Once they got the machines broke in, they let her rip, and Stu Baylor took that new Sherco ride all the way up to a second place position. A good solid ride for Grant as he brought his up from outside the top 10 to a 6th place finish.
Strong.
So some pretty exciting things going on there. Like we said though, injuries to Thad and some crazy things going on there. Andrew DeLong had a good ride going on with his Phoenix Racing Honda. Had some brake issues. They had to replace the entire brake system on that. So who knows what this week is going to bring. It's pretty exciting, I think.
Who is going to step up in the XC1? I can't wait to get to it. And of course the XC2, the Yamaha ride of Mike Wachowski paying off for him in round 1, picking up the win there.
I'll tell you again, big changes taking place there. He and his teammate from the XC1 class, of course, Lane Michael. Lane not having the stellar day that he was hoping for, but making some big strides. But wow, what an amazing fit for Mike Wachowski on the Blue Crew. I mean, he gets under the helm there of Randy Hawkins, and I don't want to say it's a new guy, but it's a whole new attitude to Mike Wachowski, because he had the speed, he had the talent, but now the confidence this rider has is unbelievable, and he's proven it on the racetrack right now.
You're exactly right. And the third place finisher, Craig DeLong, moving into that Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team. It's going to be interesting to see how that one plays out this weekend.
That's right. With the injuries to Thad Duvall and Trevor Bollinger, that leaves the factory Rockstar Husky rig completely empty over there, and they had to bring somebody over, so they decided to bring Craig DeLong over from the Coastal Racing team. The only thing is, a lot of people wondering, is he going to be racing XC1? From what I understand, he will still be in the XC2, so all their efforts will be going on to him in the XC2 class, and all the efforts of the Coastal Racing team will be going on Ricky Russell in the XC1 class. It might be a pretty good fit for both these guys this week.
You're absolutely right. And then, of course, last but not least, that FMF XC3, Zach Hayes capturing a win in round number 1. Obviously, Jesse Ansley moving up to the XC2 this season, so that XC3 class wide open, and Zach Hayes off to a great start.
No doubt about that. And, of course, as the stage is set for today's great racing, can't wait to see what happens in all these classes and overall, because we've had some pretty exciting things happening in the amateur side of things as well with Brody Johnson in that 258 class. He took a win in the Mid-East. We'll see if he can better himself in the overall results this week at the GNCC. I'm super excited, but before we get out there, let's check in with our junior trail boss, Jared Bolton.
Thanks, guys. Welcome back to sunny, beautiful Florida. It's always a good time when GNCC comes to the Sunshine State. This course here is really unique. When you come out of the finish line, you're heading out through some open stuff. It's going to wind you back around. You're going to pop out at the FMF PowerPoint, out at the 3-mile mark. First time the Racer TV camera is going to pick things up. Good fast section out there. The quads are going to run out, running a little inner loop there. They're coming right back to the 6-mile mark. The motorcycles, they're going to run a totally different loop. They're coming backwards through the PowerPoint over to the 6-mile mark. Really cool stuff for those guys. From there, they got a mix of fast trail, a couple of tighter sections. You're going to see them again at the 7-mile mark. Another really cool shot there. And then a wind through some big pine trees a few times, head back out, and they've got another mix of tight trails and some faster stuff before they pop out right at the 9-mile mark into a super fast, big field section. It's going to run them through some fast trail all the way over the 11-mile mark where you're going to see them at pro pits. They're going to run down and out the pro pits, back around into that big field section again at the 12-mile mark, and then it's a mile open trail all the way back to the finish line.
Thanks, Jared. And after yesterday's ATV racing, we know we got a great track. The flow is there. There's no doubt about that, Mikey. I can't wait to see what today holds.
You're exactly right, Rodney. The stage is set. We're going to take it to commercial break, and when we come back, this guy's going to be down on the starting line with that iconic 10-second call.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. Rodney Tomlin once again, now with one of the riders that has certainly paved a great road as far as motorcycle racing. And, of course, we're talking about AP Aaron Plessinger. Got his route.
And I'm ready to watch some good racing today.
Well, I know you're going to be joining us in the booth on Racer TV, and a lot of folks are wondering, do you ever see yourself coming back to the off-road racing world?
Definitely so. As soon as Supercross and motocross are over, I'm gonna try to get back here as hard as I can and maybe duke it out with a couple of these top runners.
Sounds like a great time, and you never know. Maybe we'll see you at Ironman this year, huh?
Hopefully so. I'm looking to make my way out there and maybe battle it out with old number 1 over there.
Ooh, that sounds pretty interesting. And speaking of number 1, we're going to take this opportunity to talk to KR himself, of course, Caleb Russell. For those of you that don't know, the winningest rider in two-wheel history in GNCC racing with 61 wins to his credit, and of course 7 national championships. As we have this opportunity to say farewell, Caleb, your last opportunity for a start here in the sands of Florida as an XC1 Pro.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting out of this place, and you know, I could say never coming back because it's brutal. It's not much fun when racing for 3 hours. I enjoy Florida. I love it down here, and I like the sand, but man, it's brutal for 3 hours, and the sand whoops are deep, and this is a really tough place. So looking forward to getting out there and hopefully putting on a good show today. And thanks to all the fans for coming out, and all the riders as well. It's the series is taken off. We've had a great start to the year as far as attendance, so yeah, hopefully everybody will carry on some momentum here.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for one of the greatest of all time, Caleb Russell, as we meet our starting lineup here for this Moose Racing. This amazing start of nearly 300 riders into a nearly 14-mile race course laid out here by the GNCC racing crew over the course of the last week. We saw a great ATV race yesterday, epic if you want to say that, with it coming right down to the wire. And I know a lot of folks are sitting on pins and needles today in hopes of seeing something similar taking place here today. Of course, Caleb Russell, his final start in the sands of Florida, is hoping to be able to capture a win, but there are many that want to knock him off to the top of that box. Will it happen here today? We'll know more as we get set to roll in less than 1 minute now. As Ricky has signaled these riders, we have 1 minute, so now this is where things start to get serious. The final few moments here as riders conduct their ritualistic moves here just before the waving of the green flag. Their hearts begin to pound, their palms begin to sweat, and the blue flag comes out, and we shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, shut them down, guys, as we get set to roll to the sands of Florida here today. I got to ask you, Florida race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? That's real good, but I'm going to ask you one more time, Florida. Are you ready to go GNCC racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro will be off and rolling at our Moose Racing Wild Boar GNCC. $250 up for grabs here in the Whole Shot Award as we round the first turn. It is the number 1 of Caleb Russell, Lane Michael in the number 2 spot on that Yamaha, and the 127 of Jordan Ashburn in third. That is the 314 of Grant Baylor on the Sherco, opening up in a 4th place position as we go to the XC2 250 Pro class. Ryder Lafferty, Simon Johnson, Sam Evans, Heath Harrison, Lyndon Snodgrass, Liam Draper, Jesse Grom, Philip Cheney, Dylan Yearberry, also Michael Witkowski, Ben Parsons, Jesse Ansley, Craig DeLong, Evan Smith, Benjamin Nelko, also Ryder LeBlanc, Francis Omier, Tegan Temple, Tanner Myers, Hunter Neuwirth, Alexander Gugan. 10 seconds. Trevor Barrett, Jonathan Gerard, Jonathan Johnson, and Cody Barnes. That 23 machine of Simon Johnson getting a great jump off the line. Can he get the whole shot? He will, and he'll grab the early lead in the process with a 521 hot on his rear wheel right now. Thorne Devlin out of Pennsylvania as we go to the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. Logan Kiddick, also Dylan Zimpel, Dominic Morris, Jason Raines, Michael DeLosa, Benjamin Wright, Tyler Sylvia, Chase Colville, Jeremy LaLemit, Cole Madison, Nathan Thornhill, Nathan Federer, Jason Lipscomb, Zach Hayes, Jason Langenbeck, and Jake Froman in 10 seconds. .156, Dominic Morris, a great jump off the line, and about a 3 bike length lead across the whole shot stripe, and into turn number 2. He's not looking back, folks. As we go to the Open A class, coming up next, Kobe Backert, also Brady Myers, Tyler Braniff, Alex Luger, Chase Hayes, Philip Dagnese, Jeremy Lanthier, Jared Miranda, Nathan Rector, Andrew Matuzik, Dylan Dela Cruz, Ethan Posniak, Willen Simon Piper, Drew Fortner, Matt Servin, Nick O'Brien, Eli Childers, Austin Zink, Ian Flynn, Nate Smith. 10 seconds. Justin Leonard, also Dylan Gore, Jacob Barnes, Dawson Dobson, Joseph Ferrero, Peyton Harden, Noah Chambers, Ryan Quinn, and Scott Gawler. And they're off. Here we go. Who's that up front? It's 65. That is Philip Dagnese out of Canada on the Ducami Moto Husqvarna of Canada FXR backstride. As we go next to the 250A class as Ricky shuts him down, Johnny Madera, Tristan Landrum, Joshua Lee, Trevor Getz, Patrick Murray, Tanner Coward, Michael McGee, Zachary Davidson, Brody Johnson, Matthew Davis, Gavin Simon. 10 seconds. Bolton B. Roth, Thomas Dexter, Brendan Poling, Gene Oliver Goulet, Chase Goslin, also Logan Lanier, Joseph Broughton, Alex Tweeton, Hunter Thorne, Cole Robbins, Devin Jurek, Josh Farrell, Dakota DeVore, Jeremy Wallstrom, Dakota Cordana, Jonathan McDougall, Andrew Gross, and Neil Emmon, and it is the 445 of Hunter Thomas and of Charlottesville, Virginia. Coming up next, 4-stroke 8 lights and guest 10 seconds guest here today, Taylor Jones from the WXC.
10 seconds.
Good job. Alexander Patterson, Hunter Cleveland, Grady Faint, Tyler Palmer, Russell Smith, Travis Renaud, Joseph Cunningham, Josh Vetter, also Mitchell Oemi, Francis Villarot, Cole Kirkhoff, Jacob Oliver, Cannon Knupp, Timothy Campbell, Kevin Dubois, Catlin Welburn, Lance Machino, Kevin Cotton, Adam Hollenkamp, Colby Davis, Cody Meeks, and Nathan Davis, and the 463 of Nathan Davis out of Vail, North Carolina, I believe, may have grabbed that early lead in that one. Also Jason Key, Dylan Carano, Ethan Schultz, and Jace Kopp as we go. Ooh, we got carnage in turn 1. We go to the 150A class. Max Fernandez, Max Russ, Joshua Wyatt, Alex Metz, Cameron Notary, Tanner Collins, Braden Nolette, Ian Potter, Daniel Fortner, Dylan Hicks and Blake Yaris all ready to roll next as Ricky Towery gives them the signal. We are less than 30 seconds away from going racing. Our next call is this. 10 seconds. 4.76. Let's see if we can figure out who that rider is. A good jump off the line, but I believe it's going to be the 2.19 of Max Russ. Oh, no, it's the 5.65 crossing the whole shot stripe first. Dylan Hicks from Westchester, Pennsylvania on a Flying Racing JDP suspension right on Moto Machine. Up next, Junior AB 25-plus class, set and ready to roll in 10 seconds. Sam Forrester, Matt Bruffy, Jonathan Manila, Tyler Brutton, also Grant Marriott, Valen Garrison, Spencer St. John, Carl Dollarhide, Austin Franklin, Dylan Narell, Josh Siegel, Thomas Caldwell, Taylor Myers, Jesse Kildo, Logan Papul, and Andrew Boggs. 2.18, that is Tyler Brunton out of Troutman, North Carolina on that KTM. Kicking things off in the early lead as we get to the vet A30-plus class next. Joe Marsh, Louis Oleon, Mikael Gomez, Gallardo Melo, 10 seconds. Wasley Textria, also Eric Forsberg, Surly Amancio, Martin Cox, Lorenzo Sanchez, Matt Lyons, Nathan Alring, George Moulton, Matt Modick, William Scharf, Sammy Doris, Silvano De Ferra, and Jesse Barstow. Up front, it's the 355 of Eric Forsberg out of Edmonds, Washington, the Yamaha rider. That's Maria Forsberg's brother. I was wondering if there was any relation with Maria Forsberg, former WXC champion, out there. Her brother with us today. Good to have him. Senior A 40-plus class in 10 seconds. Shotgun Sean Remington, Smiling Frank Messina, also Vinny Tomek, Nathan Taylor, Barry McCarty, Chris Hammond, Bo Hamlet, Joe Kessler, Bob Bergman, Joe Potter, Steve Lambruno, Larry Sylvia, Igor Soares, Joel Stoles, Todd Thompson, Mark Hojowski, Jason Stickley, and Jeff Husted, and that is the 54 of Smiling Frank Messina out of Campbell Hall, New York on a P27 Off-Road Trail Jesters Racing Tucker Rocky KTM. Up next, 4-stroke B lights class, and this has got Jesse Groves, Bryce Alkire, Corey Mahalik. 10 seconds. Austin Sentinel, Trevor Golden, Justin Gibbs, Miles Gefkin, Brandon Reed, Blaiston Moore, Drew Calloway, Lake Plowman, Chase Starkey, Garrett Elrod, Corey Schaefer, Dennis Riggs, Cole Pierce, TJ Fine, and Cole Henderson. .409. Blaiston Moore from Gloucester, Ohio on a Bonsai Fly 6's lawn care bag machine. 250B class coming up next. Riders like Cody Gamber, also Trenton Hannon, James Larson, Benjamin Waka, Zachariah Tinky, Jonathan Matheny. Also looking at Carter Holzer, Wyatt Sherman, Ezra Prine, Andrew Inman. Also looking for Ethan Dingle, Benjamin Bluyon, Brock Holloway, Cameron Madison, Parker Todd, Zachary Brazou, and Noah Martz. Here we go, Ricky Towery says, in 10 seconds. Here we go, here we go, here we go. 586, Benjamin Bluyon on a Sherbrooke, Quebec, Canada. A great jump off the line for that Canadian. And he grabs the whole shot here as well. 19 years old in this 250B class. Here in the San Angelo, Florida. 150B class, Anthony Blackburn, Jordan Burnett, Toby Cleveland, Michael Scott, Cooper Jones, and Lightning Lucas Grounds in 10 seconds. .413, a good jump, Toby Cleveland, but he's got company coming out of that first turn. They're side by side. Cleveland, though, will hold on to that, maybe not, the 800 of Cooper Jones at a Lawton, PA, Ampro Yamaha Factory Connection. Right there in the number 2 spot right behind him. We got a great battle shaping up in this class already. Vet B30 Plus in 10 seconds. Larry Hopper, Adam Odell, Daniel Parlier, Frank Ferry, Jeremiah Taylor, Joshua Watson, Michael Richards, Matthew Pertola, Nicholas Cordona, Cody Hosta, Charles Becker, Ernie Martin, David Espinoza, Joshua Webb, and Joselie Ramos. And it's the 4.79 on the bike, but a 390 GNCC racing number of Michael Richards out of Frisco, Texas on a Superior Solutions Roofing Mica Metals Fast House Back Machine. Open B coming up next. Matt Swords, Jose Rodriguez, Andrew Hollenkamp, Trenton Madison, Craig Oberholzer. 10 seconds. Gustavo Cordona, also Jordan Miller, Gregory Tenney, Jonathan McGee, Hunter Barron, Dylan Fleming, David Ravinsky, Isaac Cole, Felix Rivera, Morgan Annis, and Jamison Hardy. That's actually John McGee, not Jonathan, but John's out there with us. And it's the 4.11 on the machine, but it's the 4.20 or Jordan Miller on his helmet out of Acme, Pennsylvania on a Miller Transport LLC back machine. And Senior B 40-plus class set to roll next. Leon Whitaker, Brent Belsel, Lance White, and Mike Horwat ready to roll. 10 seconds. And the Senior B 40-plus class off and rolling now. It's a 281 of Brent Belsol out of Medina, Ohio with an early advantage, but the Yamaha ride of Mike Horwat right there in second place. Leon Whitaker third, and looks like the KTM ride of Lance White rounding out the top five. And there is Goon Life himself, Jared Bolton, heading on out to take a look at things from a track sweeps perspective. And of course the race is off and rolling, my friends. Nearly 300 riders on this race course here this afternoon, and of course with that we've got the stage set for a great battle here in Florida. Stick around on racertv.com for more GNCC Live. We'll be back with live coverage right after this.
The action is just heating up, and we're just getting started. Stay with us, live action on racertv.com.
It's a big world out there. How do you choose to see it? When you crave the long canyons, rocky trails, rutted tracks, and lonely highways, they become a part of you. Podiums and personal records, we choose it all. Because life is about moving and feeling. It's about being connected to the adventure. Some just never pull the trigger. They keep waiting, wondering what it means to wander. It's a big world out there. You just need to ride where you belong.
Inside every Yamaha lives the heart and soul of a competitor. The DNA of a champion. When you ride with us, it revs your heart and becomes a part of you too.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
Live coverage of the 2020 GNCC Series on RacerTV.com is brought to you by MMI. Get there faster, smarter. Specialized turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. Get ready.
All right. Oh, I was. Am I on? Okay. Is this thing on? Mikey Wayne's here. GNCC Live here at the Moose Racing Wild Boar. You guys have already heard from my colleague Rodney Tomlin down on the start line with those iconic 10-second calls. We'll be joined in the booth momentarily by Johnny GNCC. Johnny Gallagher will be joining us to call today's race, as well as you saw him last night at Supercross. Aaron Plessinger going to join us in the booth as well. So you guys probably saw there, we did the picture-in-picture during the commercial break. You see on your screen right now, these guys are at mile marker 6, the FMF PowerPoint, and off and rolling. If you were watching during the commercial, you saw it. If you weren't watching, you missed it. Quick recap for you. Caleb Russell came through in front. Huge lead for him coming through the FMF PowerPoint. There he is right there into the Monster Mile. We always kind of joke, may not be a full mile, but doggone, it's going to feel like a mile. And look at the distance. You can see it now on screen. And like I was saying, we had it in the picture-in-picture. When he hit that FMF PowerPoint, it felt like forever before we finally saw Jordan Ashburn come in behind him. Lane Michael, how about the start for him? He was in the number 3 spot, but spread out as well. And then I want to say it was Josh Strang, not positive, but now they're into mile marker number 7, the Monster Energy Monster Mile. Johnny Gallagher joins the booth, man. Johnny, what are you seeing out there out of these guys?
Yeah, you know, it's like you said, a monster lead in the Monster Mile for Caleb Russell. You know, he pulled that whole shot, and I don't know if you had the opportunity to see it, Mikey, but about the second or third turn, he literally wheelied away from these guys. It was like he was riding a 700, and they were out here on 450s. So pretty crazy to see, you know, all these guys running a sand tire. Obviously, most of them on either 350 or 450cc machines, but Caleb Russell putting the essentially last 2 months worth of work that he's been just a few miles away from here. So super familiar with the terrain. You know, his home compound is very similar to the track here at Palatka. Again, just a few miles away. What do we look?
The 555.
555 is an XC1 rider. Don't know his name, saw him on the starting line.
Either.
If we have,
Rodney will have our cheat sheet.
At some point, we'll get our cheat sheet and let you know.
We've heard good things. 555. 5 on the jersey, 555 on the bike.
Tyler Medaglia.
That's
okay,
it.
Sorry, that is a Canadian Canadian motocrosser.
He
is
exactly
here
right.
visiting. He has done the Florida GNCC a number of times in the past on a Husky, I think last year or 2 years ago. And this is a rider that finishes very well in the Outdoor Nationals in Canada. So a lot of speed this guy has, knows how to ride the sand. Here we have our leader in the XC2 class, and look at that, the reverse number plates, the 282 Ampro Yamaha, Mike Witkowski, picking up where he left off here in the Florida Sands 2 weeks ago in Big Buck in South Carolina. He put a hurt on the XC2 class and looking like he wants to do the same thing again here today in Florida. There is our second place rider. It looked like it might have been Johnny Gerard or Liam Draper. Just caught a quick glance there. Here we see some other riders. There is Craig DeLong, the 342 machine. We know he's had a little bit of a shakeup in the last 2 weeks, getting to fill in on the Rockstar Husqvarna team. Still riding that FC 250 in the XC2 Lights class, but he is doing it now under the Big Tent. He's under the Rockstar Husky tent. Obviously, Coastal, has a great working relationship with Husky. They didn't have anybody to fill those bike stands or those seats there under the tent, so they plugged Craig in and said, hey, buddy, we need you over here. So he's doing a fill-in ride. There is Ben Parsons, a Florida boy. He is doing well here, up in the top 10 of that XC2 Pro Lights class. And it's, Mikey, the pace is fast and furious here at the beginning of this one. And you got Mike Witkowski out front in the XC2 class, and then in the XC1 class, Caleb Russell. So not to say kind of as expected, but the two guys that, were able to grab the wins 2 weeks ago at Big Buck are leading the way here today.
You're exactly right. I think that's kind of the big question is we know Caleb is going to do his Caleb thing. Like I said yesterday, Walker's going to do his Walker thing. Today, Caleb's going to do his Caleb thing, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. But with no Bollinger, with no Thad Duvall, who is going to be the guy to step up?
Well, let's not forget the man that won the Florida GNCC last year is here, Stu Baylor. He has aboard a new machine, but, I think he squelched a lot of the naysayers and a lot of the doubt about that Sherco machine 2 weeks ago in South Carolina when he came out. Started a little slow, but that's what Stu does, and came like a freight train at the end of the race and closed up and very nearly was able to nip that third place podium position away. Didn't quite get it done, but was real close to Josh Strang there in fourth place. So, it's here we're looking at the 7 mile marker. We're 7 miles into this one, and it's shaping up to be as expected. But Mikey, I can assure you, the next 2 hours and 40 some minutes, we're going to see some major surprises in this track, Mikey. Oh my goodness! I can tell you, I've raced Florida every year since the beginning of time. And this is by far the roughest Florida GNC yesterday.
Kidding.
Now, I know they dozed the track. Look at that. Jason Raines looks like he's leading the way in that XC3 FMF XC3 Pro-Am class. That 125 class out there having fun. We see it looks like Zach Hayes there in second. Not sure who that was in third. But those two guys were 1 and 2 at the last round. And it looks like they're 1 and 2 in just the reverse order here early in this one.
And Zach Hayes already missing that front number plate.
No, that was actually the rider behind Zach Hayes that was missing.
That was okay. Okay, that was Zach Hayes out front.
Don't know who that was behind him missing the number plate.
Now we're going to get a good look. This was gnarly to watch yesterday for you guys in the ATV side. So bikes here, and now it looks like they've closed up the gap a little bit.
Definitely closed that up for sure. We did get our entry list here, so now we know who these guys are.
All right.
Stu Baylor looking down in his machine, and I'm going to go ahead while we try to get Aaron squeezed in here. I'm going to tell you, I had to. I'll switch here with Rodney's side.
Okay.
Go ahead. Basically, I got to tell you, Stu was having some issues. It appeared on the starting line there. He was not exactly sure what was going on, but he was revving that machine out, and you could see the frustrated look on his face. You could tell the machine just didn't quite sound right. Now, whether it was in his head or too much oil on the filter, there's a lot of things that it could have possibly been. But right now, doesn't look like he's holding him back. He is charging. He started in the third place spot behind that man right there, Lane Michael, who's still in fourth. So the big mover basically has been Jordan Ashburn, up from fourth to second, and Stu Baylor up from staying in third there. So Lane Michael dropped from second back to fourth. There we see, not sure who that was. That looks like it's probably Grant Baylor. Caleb Russell out front, and that is the 127 of Jordan Ashburn in second, and the 514 of Stu Baylor in third. As we were talking about, he squelched a lot of doubt. A lot of people not really knowing what was going to be up with the Sherco machine. It's not a well-known machine here in the States. They do very well in World Enduro, but he is so far he's proven the reliability. We're only one round in, but you can only showcase what you have the amount of times you've had the opportunity to do so.
Exactly. Well, hey, we're joined in the booth by Aaron Plessinger. Aaron, how are you, man?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. It's good to be back here and just watch a little bit of GNCC racing.
So we asked you this morning. You came up. You're kind enough to do some meet and greets with the riders, sign in autographs, all that good stuff. You had the opportunity to present the youth rider with the overall trophy, and then Becca Sheets on the Yamaha, which worked out really well with that overall. And I asked you, we knew the answer, but I asked you, man, what would it take to get you on a bike out here again?
Not much, man. It wouldn't take too much. It would just, I would definitely, I'd be racing here if it,
Absolutely.
If it were up to me. But, I was actually cruising here this morning. I was like, a little sore, and I was like, I wouldn't want to race today. And then I actually got here, and I was like, I brought my bike, man. But no, it's good to be out here. It's just good to see a couple familiar faces and see everybody I used to race against and everything. And they're doing pretty good out here.
Now, Aaron, we know obviously everybody at home watches the Supercross broadcasts, and even in the wrap-up shows and all that kind of stuff, they always talk about your affiliation with GNCC. Obviously, you coming up as a youth rider through the ranks, making it as far as XC2, winning a race in that XC2 class in 2013, I believe it was. So your pedigree in GNCC is proven. Your father, multi-time champion. This is your roots. This is where you grew up. Is that something? It's not something that they play up kind of to pander, but is it something that, for you feel has given you a different skill set? Obviously, you kind of have a moniker that you really strut your stuff in the mud races. Do you think that comes from this, or just kind of growing up in Ohio? How much of, I guess what I'm getting at is how much of what you learned here coming up through an off-road background do you feel translates to a different skill set for you from motocross and supercross?
Yeah, I mean, I think my skill set is all accredited to GNCCs for sure, and what I can do on the bike in Supercross and in motocross is all accredited to racing GNCCs, and every weekend we're here, we hit every element. It's whether it's mud, dry, slick, rocks, anything, roots, anything. So once I got to motocross, it was like, it was kind of, it was not easier, but I wasn't looking out for trees and rocks and roots. I was just looking for them ruts, and it was
less variables to focus on.
Yeah, and I think that's, I think those parts of the track, it just makes it a little bit easier on motocross, just because you're standing a lot, you're jumping the bumps more, and you're just a lot smoother overall, to where somebody that would grow up in motocross is just, wide open, pinning it everywhere, every which way. And I had to learn to sprint, and that's one thing that GNCC's kind of hurt me on, was my sprints, but everything else, it was tremendous help.
Yeah, well, and you see these guys right here, it looks like these 3 or 4, it looks to be, have kind of sprinted away right now. And, they're obviously the last couple of years, there has been kind of a more push on the off-road side of things with the sprint enduros, and with, Auntie Colin and the KTM team really getting together and pushing and grooming riders for that ISDE, which is more of a sprint-based format. So I think the youth riders coming up, I don't know that, not to toot your horn, I don't know that we'll ever see a guy come up through off-road have as much success as you had and have had and will continue to have in motocross and supercross. But nonetheless, it's cool to have you back here. And one last question. Do you ever see yourself coming back here, way off in the future, when you kind of step away? Well, I'll leave that to you guys. I'll let you guys stir the pot, because I know how his contract reads,
right?
And I know that they have the final say on when and where he does and doesn't get to race. When you invest that much in a program, you gotta protect your assets, and I understand that. But someday, when you step away from racing full time, could you see yourself racing here, even if it's not at the professional level, in an age class or something like that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm thinking hopefully the year after I get out of motocross and supercross, I can come back here and do some, XC1 races, and maybe if I'm not fast enough, then
no, I
if I'm not fast enough, then I'll move down to Sportsman A. But yeah, I'd hopefully get up and challenge these guys for a championship.
Very cool.
XC1 class.
Yeah, and we've seen riders do it in the past. Fred Andrews obviously coming kind of opposite of you. He grew up a motocross guy, and then in '93 switched over and raced against your dad.
Yeah.
For many years they battled for a championship. So yeah, that would definitely be cool to see. And again, awesome to have you here. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, it's good to be here, and I'm ready to see some good racing.
Yeah, well, we're
looks
seeing
like
it on
it's breaking
screen.
out.
You folks that are watching at home, we're here watching at the 12-mile marker. We did just see Caleb Russell leading the way in the second place position. It was still Jordan Ashburn, third place Stu Baylor, and fourth place hanging on there, Lane Michael. Looking really good this year. Lane, big change for him this year. Obviously coming from many years on that Husqvarna machine. He's on that Yamaha. Looked really strong early in South Carolina, and now we're waiting and watching for these guys at the 13-mile mark. And this basically here is right before the finish. They're going to kind of pop out, cross through there, and then they basically, and here they come.
Right there.
Caleb Russell looks like he's opened it up just a little bit. And there's the finish line. So 1 lap in the books. Look at that, 30 minutes on the money for lap 1.
That's pretty strong.
Wow.
So looking like, again, early assumptions based on the lap times, looking like it would work out to be a 6-lap race with a 30-minute lap time. It should be a little bit shorter for lap 2 and going forward just because they had to rerun about a mile of track from the start to get to the 13. Here we have the, that's Grant Baylor. Getting them messed up. Looks like Grant Baylor there in 5th, the 314 machine, also on that factory Sherco. So how about this, Mikey? 2 Shercos in the top 5.
Like you said, they're silencing the naysayers for sure. The thing is, what we always say is, well, yeah, you can start strong. What are you going to do for 3 hours? What's it going to do for 3 hours? But off to a hell of a start. And how about Jordan Ashburn? It says 3.871 seconds was the difference as they came through there. Do you think it was closer than that? Is he backing off a little bit because of the sand and everything?
Well,
let's see what lines Caleb's taking. Let's hang back here, see how he's riding, and then make my move later.
Yeah, we saw that gap kind of stretch out there in the beginning, and you've got to want at a was that a facet of Caleb really trying to sprint? And, we've seen Caleb, and he has so many, his bag of tricks is so deep. There's so much in there. There's Tyler Medaglia, the 555 machine. And I know, Aaron, I know he's a guy that has raced some outdoor and supercross stuff. You probably had an opportunity to race against him. We didn't know who he was a moment ago. Luckily, we consulted our sheet there. But, out there, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he put in a top 10 overall ride here, if not last year, the year before, here in Florida. So definitely a guy that we need to keep an eye on. Can't just write him off because it's not a name you hear every day, that's for sure.
Yeah, Tyler, I know he's really good, really good sand rider, and I know he's done a couple of these before and a few pro nationals, and he's a pretty solid rider for sure.
Yeah, out here on the 555 Monster Energy Kawasaki, not a part of that Babbitt's Kawasaki, Monster Kawasaki team, but a separate Kawasaki effort there. And it looks like, man, these guys have really now stretched out. Tyler in the 10th place position. We'll run down our top 10. Caleb Russell leading the way. Jordan Ashburn 2nd. Stu Baylor 3rd. Lane Michael 4th. Grant Baylor 5th. Ricky Russell 6th. Andrew DeLong 7th. Josh Strang back in 8th. Expected to see him a little bit further up. 9th place is Todd Kellett out of the United Kingdom, riding on that AmPro team. And then Tyler Medaglia rounding out the top 10. Now, the leader of the XC2 class, checking in, the 282 reverse number plates of Mike Wachowski. 2nd place there, I didn't see, but it looks to be, Liam Draper, the 198 machine. That is a rider that we absolutely know was very frustrated with his performance 2 weeks ago.
You're absolutely right. I did want to add, where'd it go? Todd Kellett. I got a message from Graham Whitcomb, who used to race with us at the GNCC. He said, first of all, him and his wife are watching from England right now. He said, Todd Kellett, British rider racing, has won the Weston Beach race 3 times.
That is no joke.
That is no joke. That is impressive.
That race is serious.
Yes.
That is a sand race to end all sand races. So if that guy can win the Weston Beach race, if he can get comfortable on that machine, running inside the top 10 overall currently, in that 9th place overall spot, so pretty cool.
Maybe he's trying to figure out that pace to run, and that's what Graham said. Absolute ridiculous sand rider. So what better GNCC to run then?
Yeah. And
we'll look for him later in the race.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
I've watched that beach race, and that stuff is no joke.
How about that start?
Oh my God!
The way they all take off, it's like a bomb. They just, they all take off at once. It's like 700 riders or something like that. So, a man that has won that race is nothing to shake a stick at here in the sands of Florida. So we'll keep an eye on him. Todd Kellett on the number 998. I believe it's an AmPro Yamaha. It appeared to have all the AmPro logos when I looked at it on the starting line. So, man, what a start here today, folks. It's been been exciting already, and we're only 34 minutes into this one. We know that first lap took 30 minutes, so for those of you watching at home, again, we're assuming they're going to stay around that 30-minute mark, which will make roughly a 6-lap race. Okay, and we've got the track map coming up here. This is going to show you exactly where we'll see these guys next. This is out here at the 12, looking in the field. There is the track map, and you can see we've got the live tracking on our riders. And we got Lane Michael. I don't believe is not sitting back there still before the finish. Things may have. He might have got stuck,
right.
But yeah, you can see they're headed to the FMF Power Point there. That is the dot that you can see. Caleb Russell leading the way, and Jordan Ashburn in second. So we'll see them there. Right there where that arrow is kind of doing the little circle, that is the FMF Power Point. So they will come to there, and you'll see them. They come out into that open area with some big sand piles right here at the 3-mile marker. They pop out. They do some turns out here at the FMF Power Point. They go in. They do about another 2 miles of woods before they pop back out here. So it's a pretty unique spectator section for some people to go out there and be able to see the riders multiple times without having to travel too far.
Yeah, I might take a trip out there after this.
There you go. Yeah, it's a great place to watch. I mean, the sand's just super deep out there, and right actually after they pop out in this shot, look at this, a new feature. Waiting on the leaders due in roughly 1 minute. So we'll keep watching the screen here as we're sitting and watching at the 3-mile marker. And I'll tell you what, one thing that we talk about this being a sand race, and Aaron, I know you've raced the Florida GNCC many times. One thing people don't understand is sand, it's not just like being on the beach. See all that debris you see there? That's roots and palmetto roots. Explain to the people at home what it's like on a dirt bike, what those things do to your front tire.
If you hit a palmetto root and you are not expecting it, it'll take you for the wildest ride in your life. If you stay up, props to you, but you usually end up going down. But yeah, I mean, palmetto roots are just fat roots that are in the ground. They're hard to see. Usually in Florida they have a long section of them, just brutal. Yeah. It's really, really brutal, and on a dirt bike your wheels can get inside of them, and if that happens, you're taking a ride for sure. I've definitely went down in them, and they do not move, much like trees.
Yeah, and these things are honestly, the palmetto roots that we're looking at here, these are little guys, but there's some much larger ones that are out. There's actually complete sections that are miles long of palmetto roots that all they do is, like you said, they just grab at your tires, they jerk the bars out of your hands. And I tell you what, man, I don't envy guys on dirt bikes, because I know on a quad they're rough enough, and we got 4 tires to kind of stabilize us. But man, this section here again doesn't look so bad, but that just gives you an idea. Now take those palmetto roots, multiply them by about 100 times as many and about 50 times the size, and that's what some of the sections look like out there. I'm sure we have some cameras out there, and we'll get some clips. But keep in mind, folks, what you're looking at on the ground there, those are not normal tree roots. As it was put to me once years ago, they want to hurt you. Caleb Russell on screen leading the way. We're joined back in the booth by Rodney Tomlin. And Rodney, what'd you see out there?
Well, I was out in the field section after the start, and I was watching as they were nearing the completion of that first lap, and I saw Caleb Russell come through, and I saw Jordan Ashburn and Stu Baylor. Those guys were on rails out there. I mean, yesterday you guys on the ATVs were just flying. Walker Fowler, Bryson Neal. I mean, it was just amazing. Seeing the same exact thing out there today, it is poetry in motion.
I tell you what, the interesting thing out in those field sections is, the way these guys, most of these guys are running a sand scoop paddle tire. And it looks like we may have had a little bit of a shakeup amongst our leaders there. I think we must have missed Jordan Ashburn and Stu Baylor. I did see another helmet there, but Lane Michael we know did come through. We're going to assume Ashburn and Baylor will still 2 and 3. Caleb Russell we know leading the way, and we'll be waiting on Grant Baylor, should be the next rider through. And, Ricky Russell coming up, making the pass on Grant Baylor, a rider that we saw 2nd place overall, and really was glued to Caleb Russell's rear wheel throughout much of that race 2 weeks ago. There are DeLong and Strang. And look at this. There's our Weston Beach champion, Todd Kellett, and he is right up on the rear wheel of Josh Strang. So, and look he's got great form in the sand.
Oh yeah. You can see he's just you can see he's a sand rider for sure. You can definitely tell a really good sand rider from just a guy who rides sand sometimes when he has to.
it seems like a lot of times the riders that excel in the sand, it's kind of counterintuitive. They seem to keep their feet on the pegs a lot.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta keep your feet on the pegs, because once you take your feet off the pegs, you're sitting down a lot, and if you leave your feet on the pegs, you can kind of keep your.
We see that the Sherco team seems to have a little bit of concern. They're wondering where Baylor is.
Is that his gas?
Wow.
Is that his gas cap?
I think that was his gas cap. That they use a bolt-on adapter because they don't have a dry brake tank yet ready for that machine. So it's actually a dry brake adapter that bolts on top of the tank, and it appears that it has dislodged itself from the tank, which means that he has an open top to his fuel tank currently. So there's probably debris going in and fuel coming out. And I got to tell you, we've seen this in the past. That is not comfortable for his self.
Yeah, it'll burn
seated
you up.
area. The seated area. I had that happen to me one time at Steel Creek, and I was actually racing against Grant in the 250A class, and my dad had to. I don't know what was stuck on, maybe a rock or something, and he had to push it down and get it unclogged, and then douse me with water because I was burning up. I had scabs everywhere after that.
Yeah. And we saw Josh Strang actually pull out of a race a few years ago for that exact issue. And there's our leader of XC2. Oh, look at this, though. He has got company. Liam Draper
That's a good
and the
battle.
969 of Johnny Gerard. So the top three in XC2 are wheel to wheel to wheel to wheel. So that is absolutely a battle going on there. We got a Johnny G fan out in front. He's got a shirt on that says the Wick, so you know he's a New England Ripper, and Johnny Gerard also a New England Ripper. Look at this. They've got a fuel tank ready to go on that Sherco, and they're getting it ready. They're just going to have to swap.
Not just the cap. Yeah, not just the cap. They're switching the whole tank.
Yeah.
Wow.
There he just went. Right past us.
Oh, it looks like Grant coming in. He just came by the Racer TV studios, so they are preparing. Eric, if you can hear us, he's headed your way. We're going to see if we can get this fuel. They don't know he's coming. He's coming backwards down VP fuel. Out there they see him. They're getting ready.
Well, they figured it out now, so a sense of urgency now as he makes his way across pit road now to park that bike. We'll get maybe a little feel of what's going on. Maybe Mikey Wayne's able to get a word or at least an eye in to see exactly what's happened. But it looks just like what you said, Johnny. Yeah. Basically, the top of that tank is broke away, and there's gas splashing out everywhere. So there's
so they're fortunate that tank appears that all they're going to need to take off is obviously the side shrouds, the seat, and they should be able to pull one or two bolts and remove that tank. They've got the wrenches spinning already. It looks like Grant is – you can see the paint on his face.
He's burning.
They're going to fill him up with water.
Burning.
He has gasoline all over his groin area and his legs, and that is just burning.
And it's going to only get worse as the day goes on. I mean, you have to literally – I mean, if he stays in this race, he's going to be he's going to have to really tough it out because that's going to be tough.
And this is a unique shot here. We can see that is actually a molded part that they had molded into the tank, and it has broken away from the tank itself. So a lot of times that is a screw-in. They'll put metal plates inside the inside of the tank, and they'll use screws to attach that. In this case, they actually had molded a tank. Look at this. Eric Sorotin is absolutely shredding. He has the tank off that machine already. By the time Grant gets his helmet and goggles back on, they're going to have that machine ready to go. And I'll tell you what, this may sound crazy, but Grant Baylor absolutely has the opportunity to score some points today.
Yeah.
You know, top 20 scores points. Top 20 is what you need to do to score points. He needs those points. It's an unfortunate break, but at the same time, these guys are doing one heck of a job of having the parts ready, getting them changed, and getting him back out on the track.
And this is a part that you normally don't have to won't expect to change. They did a great job of preparing while Grant made his way into the pits too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Eric is the master of this. I mean, this is a guy that has masterminded and crew chief so many Baja 500 and 1,000 efforts, been here with GNCC for a number of years. I mean, most people would be struggling with this. They'd be frustrated. Eric is just business as usual for him. He thrives on this. He's absolutely killing it. So a great investment by Sherco. Obviously, an unfortunate set of circumstances, but nonetheless, at this point, Grant can go back to the track where he came off. He's going to lose several minutes, but keep in mind, the top 20 will often pull 8, 10, 15 minutes away from riders outside the top 20. Grant absolutely can come back into the top 20. Rodney, what did you just see on screen?
I just saw Caleb Russell making his way here into the FMF PowerPoint at the 6-mile marker, 3 miles down the trail here, and he came in around that turn. It looked like he might have either stalled it or missed a gear, or the sand just kind of just bogged him down right there. I thought we might have a mechanical or something happening there, or his bike stalled out or something, but he kept it going.
So bad news for Sherco here. Not this stop. They're making the most of this. Stu Baylor did not come through here at the FMF PowerPoint. Lane Michael is through in third. That was Jordan Ashburn. We saw the 127 Monster Energy Babbitts Kawasaki. Aaron, I looked away for a second, but we did not see Stu Baylor.
No. Stu didn't come in. It was Caleb, Jordan, and then Lane came right through. So hoping that this didn't happen to Stu as well.
Yeah, that would be very unfortunate if it was the same issue on both machines. But again, we don't know. Stu may have just gone down or had a mistake, and he might be just out of the shot there.
Is that a stock tank they put back on there, it looks like?
Yes,
yep.
They put a stock tank back on that just has a regular pop cap, so his fuel stops will take a little bit longer. But again, at this point, you're just trying to salvage points.
Yeah.
Who do we have
There's
there?
Ricky Russell.
And
DeLong,
yep.
looks like.
Andrew DeLong.
There's a freight train coming through right now.
Andrew DeLong should be Josh Strang, and then I believe, is it Todd Kellett?
Yep,
yes,
it's
Todd
Kellett.
998. There he is. Look at that is a sand rider right
Yep.
there, taking that outside line, carrying his speed. It looks like they're having to take the tank back off again. Something
there it
did
is.
not get hooked up.
That's Stu right there.
I think we're seeing. Oh, the camera dropped, but I think we saw Stu Baylor going along the. We saw Stu Baylor going along the backside. Did not look like he was on the track. He was heading possibly back to the pits. Didn't get a very good look at what was going on there, but we'll see if we're able to get another look at it.
Well, I'll tell you, if you wonder about sand and you want to get your machine tested, I think this GNCC is certainly one to put the machine to the test, no doubt about it. Triple Nickels coming through now, it looks like.
Tyler Medaglia.
That's our other sand rider from Canada. Looking good there. Here he comes through the 6-mile marker, but wow, that really puts things in perspective. Look at that gap back.
Oh yeah.
From you've got a pretty good. You got the group of the top 3 there, and then just a little bit of a gap back to 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a big gap back there to Medaglia. And you can see they're back working on that again. Man,
wow.
That was such a quick stop, but obviously something went around. Oh, they're having to take it. Looks like the fuel pump out of that tank to put into the other tank, so maybe a bad fuel pump. Caleb Russell on screen, Rodney.
Yeah, Caleb Russell at the Monster Mile right now. I think that Mikey Waynes may have a report from down in the MMI Pro Pits.
Yeah, just wanted to confirm for you guys. Talking to Grant, obviously they're still trying to get him going. From the sounds of it, I believe Stu might have some battery issues or something. I believe he's coming back to the pits heading this way as well.
Wow, heartbreaker there for the Sherco team, especially after such a phenomenal start to the season and to kick things off. And you can see that, man, these guys are working so diligently and hard, bloody knuckles and everything, trying to get that machine put back together.
They're definitely working hard on that thing.
Yeah, and that is the fuel pump they've just pulled out. So I don't know if that tank didn't have a fuel pump in it or there was an issue with the fuel pump, but they're swapping that. And again, folks at home, this is not in vain. He does still top 20 overall score points, and if you look at the overalls at the end of the day, it's not uncommon for a rider of Grant Baylor's caliber to be able to make up, he's been in the pits, we haven't had a clock on it, but to be able to make up 5, 6, 7 minutes to get back into the top 20 is very possible. Okay, our producers are telling us we're coming up on 6 minutes that this tank change has been taking, and that is feasible, Rodney.
Yeah, that is
difficult, very, very difficult, but feasible.
Feasible, yes. And Aaron, I know you've obviously been here in the GNCC in years past. Have you ever faced an issue such as this?
Not this big. The only issue that's taken me longer than a couple minutes is we had to change an air filter one year at Ironman, and that took a little bit, but luckily my dad was able to get it done, and he was a quick worker, and he got me in and out of there, and that's when I won my first 200A race. So it was pretty hectic. I was scared for sure.
Wow, be able to still win after that was pretty impressive. But just saw Andrew DeLong going through there. That's all the way back to 7th place.
And did you notice he stopped there and
6th
had a
place
conversation
now
with someone?
Oh, did he know?
Something going on there with DeLong could just be a simple communication of, hey, I need somebody out at the 4-mile marker or a bike. Hard to tell, but he made the effort to come to a stop and talk to one of his crew members trackside.
Well, right now, if you do the process of elimination, Stu Baylor out of this one. He was running 3rd at the end of this first lap. Grant Baylor 5th in this one at the end of the first lap. Both those guys out. That puts DeLong up into a number 5 position. There goes Grizzly Grant now as they got that machine running again.
And he'll be coming by the Racer TV studios
7 minutes and 20 seconds is what it took to get that swap out, and it would have been quicker had they not had to do the fuel pump. They took it off. They actually did the swap out twice if you look at the big picture right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, unfortunate circumstances to begin with, and then even more adversity to come in their way with a fuel pump issue when they put the new tank on. But nonetheless, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. Again, I can tell you, oh, look at this. Stu Baylor on an e-bike coming back. Looks like he is headed his way back to VP Fuels Pro Row. Oh, now he broke a chain on the e-bike. Things are drop tools.
He's going back out to fix his bike. He came in to get a wrench. Whatever it is, it looks like Stu wants to fix whatever the problem is. That right there is heart and determination, man. I mean, This is a new life, I think, for this guy's program, and he wants to prove this program is strong. And after seeing what they were able to do in South Carolina a couple of weeks on these machines, I know he is not wanting to falter today, so he is going to pull out all the stops and do everything he can to get that thing back across the finish line.
Yeah, definitely, and he's definitely showing heart right now, grabbing a wrench and heading back out there. And if it were me, I wouldn't really know what to do. But
now you've had a good example.
I mean, if I'm looking at Stu, I'm
Oh, there he goes.
I'm watching
He's on
right
that
now.
e-bike and he's headed out. He's folks. He's not racing that e-bike. He's just using that to get back to his actual dirt bike.
That is great to see right there.
Yeah. And I gotta, not to make too many assumptions, but he was having some issues with that bike not properly revving out on the starting line. So there is Evan Smith, an interesting way outside line there, trying to stay out of the ruts. I believe that is one of our XC2 riders. But he was having problems with that machine revving out, and as such, I'm starting to think that now they're saying he has a battery issue. You have to wonder if he has a charging system issue, because that will cause the bike to not have the full amount of spark and not run at full capacity, and then also not be charging the battery. So again, speculation here. We haven't heard anything of the sort from the Sherco team, and we may not get that kind of information until next week, if at all. But my assumption would be some type of an electrical issue that caused that battery to go bad was also involved with why he felt the bike wasn't running properly on the starting line.
But again, hey, it sounds like Mikey might be down in the Factory One Sherco team pits. Let's check in with Mikey Waynes.
Well, enough from me. Let's talk to the guy. You finally caught your breath. Eric, welcome back to GNCC, man.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, talk to us about what happened. Obviously, we saw it on camera. We saw Stu coming down Pro Row on the e-bike. I think he picked up a battery. What the hell's going on?
Well, so far, so those tanks, no one makes a tank for a dry brake system, and so that's like a plastic welded piece on there. Obviously, everything's not perfect, but it broke off for Grant, and then the tank swap, but where the fuel pump goes in, that the little piece wasn't catching the fuel line, so when I fired it up, the fuel pressure pushed it back out, and so the best way to do it is to change another fuel pump. So it's not the optimal, but if these guys can just go around in circles for a little bit, I mean, it's kind of be hard pressed to get back into the points, but we're bound to have some issues. Everything's fresh and everything's new, and we'll come back strong, and we'll eliminate all those kinds of issues next time. I don't know what's wrong with Stu's bike. I mean, if the battery's not charging, we're obviously going to figure something out there. New bike, new problems, we'll overcome it. It's all good.
It's all races. We got a lot more races, man. Thanks, Eric. Guys.
Thanks a lot. A lot of optimism there. I mean, frustration too, you have to think, but at the same time, I think that Eric knew coming into this program what he was faced with, to be honest with you. And probably they're not climbing as many mountains as what they had expected, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, they had a great run at round one, and again, the plastic welded tank, I mean, that's not something, they might look back on that as maybe not the best decision, but, you're limited with your options. Again,
right.
If nobody makes a tank for it, you got to do what you got to do. They're obviously probably going to go back to the drawing board on that. As far as Stu's bike, again, so many variables. It could just be a bad battery. It could be something in the charging system. It could be, I mean, there's an infinite number of possibilities of things it could be as we're watching Jordan Ashburn, the number 127 on that Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki. And I tell you what, Jordan's been strong. He was real strong early at Big Buck, and I think he was pretty disappointed with the outcome based on the fact that he looked to be running up solidly in a podium position throughout about the first hour and a half of our 3 hours 2 weeks ago in Union, South Carolina, and looking really good in the sand here today on that machine. But yes, to kind of follow that up, Eric Sorotin is a guy that I would want in that situation.
Yeah.
This is a guy, his lifetime experience comes from Baja, essentially, working with Johnny Campbell and that JCR Honda team. So they fix motorcycles with candles, tarps, bubblegum, and taco shells. Like, that's what they have to work with, and they make the machines finish 1,000-mile races. So this is a guy, he doesn't want to be in that position, but when you put him in the position where something is wrong and he needs to make the most of it, he'll figure out a way to make it work.
It put me in mind watching him work. It was like watching an old Charlie Chaplin movie or something like that, and fast forward the way he was moving around. I mean, that was a very exaggerated speed that we saw him do all that work in.
Eric has a nickname, Spaz.
Well, I can see why.
And it's on his toolbox and everything. When it's time to work, he just shuts his mouth and just moves very, very rapidly.
Yeah, and that was pretty amazing, honestly. It looked like this camera had actually been sped up watching him move over there. But back on the screen right here, Jordan Ashburn, Cookeville, Tennessee. When we checked in at the finish line, there was only about a 3.8-second lead that Russell had over him. The gap has opened up a little bit, but something else has happened here. Stu Baylor out of the picture now in that third-place position. Lane Michael moving up into that number 3 spot is given, it looks like, Jordan Ashburn a little bit of breathing room. Now, a couple good things going on here for Lane Michael. This is exactly what that new Yamaha Blue Crew rider needed at AmPro Yamaha. I mean, if you watch the 10 seconds XE off-road cast that I did with him here a couple of weeks ago, right after the South Carolina opening round, you can see that this day, the way things are going, he's right where he wants to be. The thing is, and if you heard him today, he just needs to keep that consistency going throughout the entire race.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at that. Lane Michael takes over the second-place position. But Jordan Ashburn going in there and grabbing fuel. Looks like Lane Michael bypassing the pits on lap number 2. And I tell you what, we know from experience, Rodney, looking like it's going to be a 6-lap race. So here's what this means, folks. Jordan Ashburn and presumably Josh Strang will be on a 2-pit strategy because they pitted after 2, which means they'll have to pit again after 4. Lane Michael, and I did not see if Caleb Russell stopped. Don't know if Mikey Waynes was able to get an eye on that, and we'll have to find out. Caleb did stop. So Caleb Russell also on a 2-pit strategy, which is rare for Caleb. Caleb and that KTM team, they thrive on fuel economy and knowing the exact mileage. Here in the sands of Florida, though, you don't want to take that risk. Lane Michael and that AmPro Yamaha team taking the risk. Now, possible that he stopped at the end of lap number 1 if he would have needed goggles or something else and they splashed him. But if he did not, that means Lane Michael planning on going 3 laps, which means in a 6-lap race, that's a one-stop strategy, saves him valuable time in the pits.
You can take into account course length might be part of that. We do have a little longer course again here today as Caleb Russell checking in with us on screen once more. The big question I have, we talk about the sand. Do you think the sand is going to decrease the mileage for these guys?
100%. When we do fuel mileage calculations, I did it last year with Becca when she was on the KTM, and we were using about almost 10% more fuel here in Florida. So it was 24 to 42, so about 18 seconds was the lead that Caleb Russell had there at, I guess that's out at the 12-ish mile marker. 11, 12-ish, or yeah, it is, 12 right there on the tree. So the 12-mile marker, about 18 seconds. So yes, they use about 10% more fuel here in the sand and as fast as this track is as compared to a tighter, more twisty track where you're kind of rolling off and on the throttle. You can see these guys. I mean, there is no application of the throttle at a race like this. It's essentially a switch. You turn it on, you turn it off.
And I don't know about you guys, but as we were watching Jordan right there, the whole time we were watching him, I don't think his bike stopped moving until he obviously pitted for gas. It's rough out there. I haven't been to a GNCC in a while. It is rough out there, and shoot.
They got to keep. I guess they're keeping the speed up, trying to stay on top of everything.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the smoothest way through. I guess
that's the way.
Andrew DeLong is in now in the Phoenix.
Please tell me this isn't another brake system. They are changing a brake system, folks. This was a point of contention 2 weeks ago. Andrew DeLong was in. They had to change a brake system, and it took this was a hotbed of social media activity. Hundreds of comments on the post about this. It took an infinite amount of time to change this. So let's see if they can do better today and get Andrew back out there to score some value.
Well, last time they thought it was a bolt that was that had come loose, maybe knocked off on a rock or something like that. And I know that I was in the Phoenix Honda Racing shop, and I saw Heath Harrison, the prep mechanic, prepping up, and he had wire tied all those bolts and everything. So evidently, whatever it is, it's something more than what he was able to prepare for this time. He thought he had every angle covered. I guess lesson learned.
Yeah, this is unfortunate. But again, this is one of those things that looks like they're getting pretty far along in that process. So if they can get it switched out, Caleb Russell coming through the finish here. And that was a 28-minute and 40-second lap time just going off the clock.
Wow.
I'm not looking. How close was I? 28:39. I was 1 second off.
Nice. Yeah, and just to point out, the first lap a little longer than the rest of the laps. We started, around mile 11 or something like that?
Start at the just after the 12-mile marker, and then the finish here is right at the 13. So there's about an extra mile that they ran twice. Lane Michael's still hanging on to that second place spot.
Yeah, he's riding really good. Looks like he's
25 seconds now.
Smoothing out a little bit.
Yeah, 25 seconds behind a guy that's won this race a number of times and has 61 overall victories.
61.
Not a bad. I'll tell you what.
DeLong goes.
Hats off to the Phoenix Honda team right there. I don't know how long they were in before we saw that on camera, but that was a fast stop. I won't lie. When I watched that on screen 2 weeks ago, that was hard to watch. I made comments, but I call them like I see them, and that was unacceptable. That was a great stop. Hats off to those mechanics at the Phoenix Honda team. That was a great brake system change. And if I'm going to call you out when he's saying about 3 minutes is what our producer's saying.
And that's
and
fast.
that is a respectable time to change a brake system. So if I'm going to come down on you and call you out when I think things don't go smoothly, it's only right that I give you props when you do it well.
Well, Ricky Russell checking in now in the number 4 spot. It's Caleb Russell out front, Lane Michael in the number 2 spot, Jordan Ashburn in 3rd, and Ricky Russell in the 4th place position. Meanwhile, we see the 514 and 314 begin to fade through the pack. We'll let you know where they check in at here in a few moments as Josh Strang checks in now in the number 5 position. He's about 8 seconds behind Ricky Russell. And here's something interesting. Ricky Russell's about 44 seconds behind those top 3.
Yeah, that's it's a big gap, but at the same time, he was that far back. Oh, we've got a little bit of an update on exactly what was going on with the CRF 450 of Andrew DeLong and the Phoenix Honda team here with Mikey Waynes.
Yikes. Thanks, Johnny. I got to crank that down. Here with Gino, man. Talk us through what was going on just a moment ago with Craig.
Man.
Andrew.
Andrew came in. Another issue with the rear brakes. We thought we had it solved, but luckily we got our team behind us, and we got it solved. We changed it pretty quick.
You did. You had her dial.
Getting stronger and stronger. There for a moment, said, hey, our sand guy's still there. Here we see Tyler Medaglia now hot on his heels, the 282, our XC2 leader, Mike Witkowski. And I tell you what, man, he looks good. Mike Witkowski
really
looks like he is on rails right now.
7th place overall after time adjustments right now.
That is really good. He looks smooth, man. I know he's riding a little bit with my dad down here in Florida for a little bit.
That's right, your dad trains him, correct?
Yeah, before the season started. And, yeah, he said Mike is the one to watch out for. And
I
we're
have
definitely
to agree.
seeing it right now. He's
I'm not going to lie.
away.
He caught me completely off guard at Big Buck. There we see Craig DeLong of the Rockstar Racing Husky team. And it looks like, I'm assuming, is he into the 4th place spot? Or, yep. Liam Draper and Johnny Gerard did come through on screen there, and then Tyler Medaglia and we should have, it doesn't show him checked in, but Craig DeLong, oh, there he is right there. Yep, he's into that 4th place spot in the XC2 class. So the top 4 in the XC2 class still
Still close.
And they're top 10. Craig DeLong actually checking in at top 10 overall. Very interesting day today as Caleb Russell continues to lead this one. And Lane Michael riding the ride that dreams are made of. This may be the day that flips the switch for that 523. Stick around to find out whether or not things are going to change. Can KR keep it up front? Will Lane Michael stay in the top 3? And can Jordan Ashburn stay in a third-place position himself? It's going to be exciting. Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
Inside every Yamaha lives the heart and soul of a competitor. The DNA of a champion. When you ride with us, it revs your heart and becomes a part of you too.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin in booth along with Jason Wygant and, of course, Aaron Plessinger now again with us. And, Jason, we welcome you here to the booth and Racer TV. We know we get to hear your voice a whole lot as Caleb Russell makes his way past the FMF PowerPoint here. Get to hear your voice a lot on Racer TV, but it's good to see you here trackside today, too.
Yeah, it's a busy weekend and week for all of us. Good to have AP here. He was obviously busy last night as well. First of all, Aaron Plessinger, the battle last night, you and your teammate and your buddy Justin Barsha, I don't think you guys are more than 2 seconds apart the entire main.
Yeah, maybe during the start, and then he caught me, he passed me, and then I rode behind him for a little bit, and then I capitalized on one of his mistakes, and unfortunately he got me back about 2 laps to go, but I was feeling good.
Oh, you let him by. Tell the truth.
That's a Yamaha commercial. I mean, they were side by side, like several laps in a row, side by side, the 2 Yamaha teammates.
That's awesome.
Yep. So I figured you must be exhausted after that, but if you're watching, say, Lane Michael on the Ampro Yamaha here, a little jelly?
I am jealous.
Really?
I am very jealous. On the way here, I was like, I am tired. I don't really want to. I wouldn't want to race today. But as soon as I got here, I don't know. Something jumped in me. I was like, dang it! I wish I brought my bike. I want my bike now.
Every year the press release comes out and it says GNCC Racing announces Aaron Plessinger Grand Marshal. I'm like, oh, man. When are we going to
hey,
get him on the starting line?
Well, rumors I hear is Iron Man. I don't know.
Okay. Look, Yamaha owes you one. You've done a lot of good things for the brand. You've been with it for a long time.
I started that rumor, but
let's go. Let's start it. Yeah.
It's got to start somewhere.
That's right. Rumors started with Rodney. So fun to watch this battle here. You got Jordan Ashburn second. Now we're watching the familiar 114 of Josh Strang. It was cool to watch him through the pits just a couple minutes ago. Good job by our buddy Mikey Waynes down there keeping us on top of the action. So pretty wild just watching the opener for this series a few weeks ago in South Carolina. Man, things have broken pretty well for Caleb Russell, knowing that Thad Duvall and Ben Kelly were probably the guys most hyped to really put a challenge to him. So I kind of wonder, and maybe you've been in this situation, when you have guys that are on your list. Let's take you back to 250 days where we knew maybe you, Zach, those are the guys I'm going to be battling, and then they were gone. Is that weird to have to reset totally, and there's guys you weren't thinking are going to challenge you that you've got to suddenly focus on instead of the guys you're used to battling?
Yeah, definitely. It was weird when those guys went out because, I thought, it's going to be a breeze now. But, Austin Faulkner, and I had to worry about a lot more guys than I thought.
Yeah.
And, I mean, guys beat me that I thought would never beat me. And I think it's just because those guys went out, these guys stepped up, and they were like, look, I have a chance. I can win now. And, they definitely stepped it up, and you just got to watch for that, and you got to keep yourself on your toes.
So that could be what we're in for this year. If you're a guy like Ashburn, the Baylor brothers, we saw the last race, second place was Ricky Russell. A lot of opportunities for these guys to say, like, look, I don't know if I can go through both Caleb and Thad, but now one's not even here. This is the golden opportunity and maybe to take advantage.
Guys, real quick, update on Grant Baylor. Just came through VP Fuels Pro Row, battling with some mid-pack-ish A riders. So that's probably going to put him somewhere in the high 30s, low 40s OA physically. Now, keep in mind, those guys have a couple minutes on him on corrected time. So just doing some rough math here, he's going to need to make up probably at least 2 to 3 minutes to physically be battling with those guys on corrected time. So that means he's probably going to be more like 6-7 minutes out of potentially a top 20 overall. But again, 7 minutes and 20 seconds. We know it took from the time he came in to the time he left, not including the time back and forth from the track. So that taken into consideration, he's already made up some time. I think this is still possible for him to score some points today.
Well, at the very least, they're going to learn a lot about that motorcycle, and I know it's kind of double goals this year with this Sherco team really stepping up with Factory 1. Obviously, they want to win races and they want to score points and they want to get results, but they want to learn about the bike. Unfortunately, they're learning the hard way.
Yeah.
But either way, they're going to learn some stuff here, Rodney. Oh, we got a junior announcer here who's going to hang out with us.
There you go. That's Little Weege right there.
Yeah, that's Little Weege,
LW.
exactly. Yeah, he brought his dirt bikes playing the sand today, and a Stasic as well. But the Sherco team, I think they had to figure there's a chance this was going to happen. It's going to be some research and development.
Honestly, these are the kind of things they were anticipating in that first round of racing. But, after going through and having things go so well for them, I know that they were hoping for a smooth ride here in Florida also. But, I mean, I think anybody in their right mind, knowing this program and knowing how they're trying to build it, probably speculated that this might be the place they would have some problems if they're going to have problems. You've said it. Everybody said it. This is rough. This is tougher. This is one of the more demanding tracks out there on so many different levels for so many different reasons. And, of course, this is the place where I think this bike, they probably will learn more here today than they will in the next 4 or 5 races, honestly.
It's got to be funny to you, Aaron, because your mechanics will tear your bike down after every race, down to the frame. Daytona's pretty gnarly.
Oh, yeah.
But for an average Supercross dude, compared to what you've seen and you've done to a motorcycle in these races, it's nothing compared to this.
Oh, no. GNCCs tear the motorcycle apart pretty much, and it's definitely a good test for a motorcycle if you are going to test it out. And I definitely think, the Sherco boys, they knew what they were getting themselves into, and it's a new team, new bike, and it's inevitable.
It is, and the thing you got to realize too, Aaron, is you can test, you can try to simulate and emulate race conditions, but until you put that under actual race conditions and circumstances, you're never going to know where you're at. And this is unfortunately where the proving ground has to be for these guys.
Yeah, definitely. It's crazy because it's almost the same thing as your body.
Yeah.
Until you get racing, you never know how you're going to react to, or how good your fitness is until
Right.
you get on a racetrack with other racers.
Exactly, and we've seen Caleb Russell going through there as we are near that 6-mile marker now. We'll see him coming back in again here in just a few moments. At last check, he had nearly 30 seconds over the rest of the field. We'll see if we can't get a clock on it, see exactly where we are now as we head back to now Lane Michael, your second place position ride. That seems good to say, man, and I know him being a kind of a teammate of yours now on a Yamaha Blue Crew machine, that's got to make you feel pretty proud to see him. Now, Lane, you and Lane are a little bit different in age, so you guys never did really get to race a whole lot through the amateur.
Yeah, I mean, I raced him in the overall on the youth bikes quite a bit, but the year we were destined to race each other and it be a big battle, I won Florida, he won Georgia, and then I went and tore my knee up mid-season. So as soon as the battles were about to start.
So you never really got a chance to really see what the meat of it was.
The two races we did race together, or 2 or 3 races we did race together, we definitely duked it out. I can remember coming neck and neck with him at the finish line at Georgia, and him getting the edge on me. But it was definitely a season that should have happened that never did because I ran into a tree.
It happens, especially out here in the woods.
Yeah, it's I hope he really, really does good, and he's looking smooth today. I told him before the race the keys are to get out and get that clean air, and he got a really good start, and he's right behind Caleb, and I think he's definitely doing what I said.
He's doing a great job. Got some clean air, got a good ride going. The best ride we've seen out of Lane Michael in quite some time. Just looking for the consistency of it. Jordan Ashburn at last check was 3rd place. Ricky Russell 4th. Josh Strang, we just saw on screen there just a few moments ago. He's looking strong, and this is another strong race for him. He's not necessarily in podium contention at the moment, but this is kind of a new look to Josh as opposed to what we've seen for the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, Josh even looks a little different. He says he didn't really do anything differently over the weekend, maybe over the off season, except drink Australian beer because he got to go home for a while. But other than that, that's the only thing different he said he's done. But he's been doing a lot of riding and a lot of training up there in North Carolina with a lot of different guys.
Well, it's that same thing that Aaron was saying. The opportunity is there for a lot of these guys now to go back after it. Certainly Strang, not a stranger to winning races in GNCC, but it has been a couple of years now. We're into the Monster Mile, watching Caleb Russell slice and dice his way through these trees. That's pretty cool. I was over watching that section myself. The fans get a chance to see him, and they go away and they come back, so you kind of get a little 2-for-1 if you're standing by the finish line area. And then same thing with this Monster Mile. You get a couple of views the riders as they come through. Looking good right now for Russell. Also on the left side of your screen, we have the results showing Mike Witowski out front in XC2. So Yamaha might have something there. Witowski's always been quick, good starter in XC2, but now he's on the Yamahas, wins the opener. Looking pretty good there, AP.
Yeah, for sure. Mike's definitely one to watch in the XC2 class. I think he's going to do really good this year. Hopefully maybe an overall podium at one point. But I think he's really smooth, and I think he's looking for some good lines. And there we see Lane Michael.
Oh, there it is.
The key to this race is definitely looking for those smooth lines. And they told me they can't really get off the track as much as they could in South Carolina, but we'll see.
They couldn't, or they could find smooth lines? They could not.
They could not find smooth lines out here. They were out there riding it this morning, and they said there's not much place to get off the track.
Yeah, and that was this morning.
That was.
So it's only worse.
Oh, it's only worse after the AM bikes get off of it for sure.
That's right. Jordan Ashburn coming by. He has been a podium contender here early in this season. A good run at Big Buck for a while up front, and he's got his teammate now closing in on him, Strang in the 114. So that monster Babbitt's Kawasaki team, they're happy about this. A little step up in their second year back in GNCC. When I was walking this a little bit earlier in the race, it is funny to see that a line that you don't even think would exist. You look 5 feet over, and then suddenly it happens. And then 5 feet beyond that, suddenly happens. Just working those edges all the time.
Yeah, you have to here. It's you're finding smooth lines, and the guy that finds the smoothest lines is going to last the longest.
Yeah.
Here it's so gnarly and so rough and so rutted. You just have to get off of your main line, and that's what's I think that's what Caleb's trying to do, and I think that's what's going to win the race today.
For you as an Ohio guy, and we know you're really good in the mud and in the ruts, how much even in your moto days, if we go to, say, Southwick, and a lot of the national tracks are pretty sandy now, was GNCC some of the only experience you were getting? How much moto sand experience did you have compared to racing GNCC every year in Florida?
You know, we definitely came down every winter because we couldn't ride up in Ohio because it was snowing. But, yeah, we came down every winter. Got a little bit here and there. It was only really before this race that we did that.
Yeah.
And, you know, this race was really the only sand race we had during the season. And, yeah, I mean, I was always all right in it because my long legs, I guess. And but yeah, as we look here,
here's
Todd
our
Kellett.
Sandman back at it. Todd
Sandman.
Kellett still running solidly inside the top 10, up into that 6th place spot now. And a quick update: I was over in VP Fuels Pro Row again, and then checked in on the finish times. I made a speculation that Grant Baylor might be somewhere around 50-ish away, 75. And still dropping as more A riders are checking in. But it's not so much his position that hurts, it's the time. Jesse Ansley currently running 20th overall with an elapsed time of an hour 3:51 for those first 2 laps. Grant Baylor is at an hour 12. So he's going to need to make up about 8 minutes and 10 seconds to be battling inside that top 20. That's worse than expected. We thought we were looking somewhere in the 5-6 minute range. We're actually looking at upwards of 8 minutes. Again, not impossible, but a much taller mountain to climb than we were anticipating for Grant Baylor. Now, on the flip side of that, we saw Andrew DeLong in the Phoenix Honda pits, was doing a rear brake system change. We know that took somewhere around 3 minutes per our producer, Adam. Again, a very respectable brake change. Andrew DeLong's still in the top 20 overall, running 16th and making up ground on the guys in front of him. So he's in a position where he could battle for obviously a top 15, if not a top 10 overall by the end of this one, which given the circumstances, that's a huge day with issues of having to disassemble half your motorcycle and change a brake system.
Well, I have to imagine that it's only going to get better for him as the race goes on. Who's going to be in the best shape? The pro guys are probably going to extend their speed advantage or pace advantage, I would think, in that final hour. So even if you're tracking it now, I would think it's going to trend in a different direction in that last hour of the race.
And I think that'll be the case with Grant as well. But, you know, Andrew DeLong, both of those guys having issues. Both of them unexpected, unscheduled, long pit stops. But they're at opposite ends of the spectrum as far as where they're starting. You know, Andrew DeLong in 16th, already in the top 20, already scoring points. He's going to be able to see that progress of, hey, I'm 16, hey, I'm 14, hey, I'm 12. And he's going to be counting those points in his head, knowing that those are championship points going towards his tally. And whereas, oh, look at this. On screen, Caleb Russell out at this is out near the 9-mile marker, I believe it is. And Caleb Russell on the number 1 FMF KTM, still leading the way.
Yeah, starting to get into some lap traffic now, so we'll see if that mixes things up for him. Going to be hard to figure out the strategy. Last year was easy. Had to chase Stu Baylor, and he had Thad Duvall all over him. Right now he's out by himself, and see if he can keep this thing locked down. Yeah, so that's back to what I was saying. I kind of figure that. A lot of your sand riding experience comes from this race, but I would assume 2-3 hours, that's a lot of experience, even if it's once a year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I didn't do this race like a ton of times. I always missed it because I was in school or whatever, but yeah, I did it in 2010, 11, and 12, and I think once before that, maybe in 07. But yeah, it's definitely good experience, and you're never going to find anything as rough as this unless, I mean, obviously if you go to Europe and you ride Lommel or anything. But yeah, so I think it's definitely helped me in my sand riding ability. So yeah, I don't know.
Hey, any bit of experience at your level now going to pay off. Hey, we had sand at Daytona last night, right?
I mean, sand at Daytona, but yeah, Daytona gets a different kind of rough. It's a brutal supercross race, and it's definitely one of the hardest of the year. But it definitely doesn't get like this.
No, this is one of the smoother sections, one of the few ones. Ashburn coming through, rider out of Tennessee, trying to keep tabs on the battle behind him. So Ashburn trying to aim for a podium today as we bring Rodney Tomlin back in. Is that Ricky Russell? Oh, it's Lane Michael. Sorry, Lane Michael on the Yamaha. I'm trying to figure out who the rider right in front of was. That was Ricky.
Yep,
okay. So it is Ricky Russell, and it is Lane Michael. It's a bit of a swap, by the way, in the manufacturers this year.
Yeah.
And good to see them hooking it up. So, yeah, we saw Lane Michael with the font on the screen, but just in front of him is Ricky Russell. So this is a real duel right now, Rodney.
Wow, yeah, Ricky, I tell you, man, that kid really surprises me a lot and often. And I can't understand why, because he does it so often. We should honestly expect the things that we see coming out of him. We saw a lot of great rides out of him, especially in the late part of last year. Same thing with Jordan Ashburn. Saw a lot of riders really starting to rise to the occasion, and get to see what they're doing here in the early part of 2020 like this, continuing where they're left off, basically. The future is bright. Caleb Russell might be leaving the GNCCs, but they're hungry. They want to beat him. They're trying to track him down, and every one of them seem to have a little extra fire this year.
Got this Yamaha Skycam. Strang's in that picture as well. They were with all three of them together. Ricky Russell, Lane Michael, and Strang. This is amazing, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. I don't know. I could be wrong, but Lane's front fender looks broken.
Okay.
I mean, he was coming through the rollers and it was really, really shaking. So I'm wondering if he had a tumble back there in the woods somewhere.
Or a close encounter with a tree.
Yep.
It happens.
It does.
Definitely, especially here.
Man, it's a whole new perspective when we started bringing this Yamaha Skycam in, this live drone. It's unbelievable what you can see, especially in Florida where you're weaving in and out of the swamps. I mean, this looks like a video game or something.
Yeah, it definitely does. You can see all the S-turns. We had a few last night, but
yeah,
not this many. Yeah, this Skycam looks awesome. And as you can see, they do not stop moving. As I said earlier, this track is unbelievably rough. I can't believe how rough it is right now.
Yeah,
it's only lap 2.
But and another thing to point out, if you notice, you see that dark dirt, and that's the main line where a lot of riders are riding in. If you notice, our top riders are oftentimes off to the edge of that where the track is just a little bit smoother. They're looking everywhere they can for a little smoother line right now, I think.
Yeah, I definitely was when we were back at River Ranch and I was racing this thing. I mean, you just look anywhere and everywhere. I mean, you'll go 40 feet in the other direction at lap 5 or 6. I mean, looking for something, because I mean, when your hands get tore up and your shoulders and your legs, you can't stand up anymore, and your body is just depleted, you are looking for every line.
And you mentioned hands. That's funny. Riders train down here in the sand oftentimes in the winter, all winter long, and still after one of these races, they come out, they've got blisters the size of their palms oftentimes. How does that happen? I mean, especially after you pound all these laps in Florida all winter long.
Yeah, I mean, riding down here, it definitely makes your hands tough, but as I was saying earlier, you don't really know what your body is going to do until you put it in a race situation, because in practice you could be holding on a little bit looser, a little bit tighter, and your hands aren't moving as much on the bars. You're just cruising, until you get in this race situation, you really don't know what they're going to do.
Well, they are in that situation right now. I believe it's Ashburn who has been caught by Ricky Russell, if I got this right, as they head down Pro Row. Yeah, it is Ashburn right there. So it has become a battle for second. At one point, we were watching Russell and Lane Michael fighting for third, but now Russell has broken away a bit from Lane and is going for that number 2 position, maybe back-to-back runner-up finishes to start the year. He's really pushing on that Coastal Racing machine right now, Rodney, and it's a good battle.
It is, and a good fit. Ricky, another one of those riders that was seeing some great advancements toward the end of last season. The new life that he has breathed into his program, switching teams, just newness, I guess, oftentimes is good for a person and then an individual. And you take a look at the even bigger picture. They moved Craig DeLong, their XC2 effort, into the Coastal, the Rockstar Energy Coastal Bus part of it. Now all of a sudden we've got Ricky, who has one less person on the team, that he can have now more people working in his corner. So this is kind of a big favor for Ricky to see Craig moving over to the big truck like that, because it opens the door for a lot more eyes out there on the racetrack to help him.
He's trying to open the door right now. He is working Ashburn inside, outside, in every corner, going everywhere he can to try to make the pass. It's fun to watch with the drone, Aaron.
That is crazy to watch. He's pushing it. I saw him. He was, I think he was last off the start, and yeah, I think he's putting in a great ride right now, and yeah, he's really, really pushing on Ashburn right now.
Well, it sounds like we might have an update coming in from the Pro pits. I'm not sure. Johnny Gallagher might be down with us at the Pro Yamaha pits now.
Mikey Waynes. Yeah, but I'm here. I'm not near as good looking as Johnny. Just to give you guys an update, I'm not sure if the camera caught it or not. Lane Michael actually stopped for fuel, get a little rehydration, little fuel. He's back out there ripping, but now he's got a little bit of a deficit, a little bit of time to make up.
Yeah, we can see it right now. And also, thanks, Mikey Waynes, Aaron Plessinger pointing out that front fender is dangling a bit.
Yeah, it looks a little bit shaky out there.
Everything looks a little bit shaky
Yeah,
out there.
It could be my eyes, but
Yeah, dude.
it looks like they're moving quite a bit.
So we'll see if he can make that ground up as we go back to our leader, Caleb Russell and FMF KTM. So now we have to see if that battle. So Ricky Russell catches second-place rider Jordan Ashburn. Ashburn is dealing with tremendous pressure. They're upping their pace. See if they can close in on the leader right now as he logs another lap out around the finish line area here at Hogwaller. And we'll get a clock out here for second place.
Hogwaller.
Yeah, man.
Were you here in 2003 when we were at Rodman Plantation?
Oh, that was just Waller, bro. There was no hog. I mean, that was. I lost
you racing? That was probably before your time, too.
Yeah, that was before me. I came in 2006.
Yeah, that was about 3 years before.
I remember you would just watch like a mile-long straightaway and a guy fighting and fighting and fighting for like 5 minutes, and then he'd tip over and drown his bike out. Like all this effort to try to just get through this one section, and he'd tip over once. The whole track was water.
It was.
Basically. And the amount of bikes that drowned out. I remember it was odd about that day. That was in the two-stroke days.
Yep.
The Yamaha two-strokes, you probably had some. They always had like the air intake was like behind the seat.
Yep.
We found out that day that Yamahas could go through like 4 inches deeper water than any other bike. Like Yamahas, I think, finished like 8 out of the top 10.
Yeah.
YZ250 had an awesome air intake that could just breathe better. And honestly, the whole race came down to that. How deep of water could you ride through? So these conditions today, so much better. I mean, that wasn't a sand race. That was just swamps.
That was a jet ski race almost.
Yeah, this battle is still going, Rodney.
Yeah, it is. As they wrap up lap number 2 now, or 3 actually, lap number 3. Caleb Russell's already checked in. 1 minute and 29-second lead he has over the rest of the field. Ricky Russell is only 1.9 seconds, call it 2 seconds behind Jordan Ashburn, and it has not relinquished any whatsoever. I mean, this has been going on for a little while now, so you have to think one of these guys is going to have to give soon.
Yeah, I'm impressed actually that Ashburn has hung in there. I mean, the way that Ricky Russell was challenging him, I thought he was going to get by, but nope.
Yeah, Ashburn's holding strong, and yeah, I think they're gonna be battling.
All right, Johnny Gallagher now down in the pit.
Hey guys, we're down here in the VP Fuels Pro Row, and there was just a shake-up in the XC2 class. Mike Wachowski came in for fuel, a drink, and fresh goggles. Johnny Gerard, the number 969 Trail Jesters KTM, takes over the lead in XC2. Craig DeLong, hot on their heels, now up into the 3rd spot and around Liam Draper. So, man, a lot happening here in the VP Fuels Pro Row, and it's happening fast. New leader in XC2, Johnny Gerard, leading the way.
Wow, that's pretty impressive stuff right there to see that happen. Wow. Good to see.
That's impressive stuff.
That's impressive stuff right there.
Yeah.
Bob Pistol, welcome out, man, from out in Illinois, man. So good to see you out here with us in the sands of Florida for sure.
4-rider battle there in XC2.
Huh?
4-rider battle.
I know.
And they don't want, with the champion having graduated, and even the last couple champs graduated because Toth's out of the class now, also along with Ben Kelly, you can tell they don't want anyone to get momentum. Wachowski wins the opener, gets out front early. You don't want to let these guys get on a roll. So it's good to see everyone fighting back and trying to make it difficult on them. And even a little bit of shuffling, as you mentioned, with the teams. DeLong being upgraded to the full factory Rockstar Husqvarna outfit. What luck for Rockstar Husqvarna. They lose both Duval and Trevor Bollinger to injuries, so the focus is now going to try to win that 250 title. It's going to get good in XC2.
It most certainly is. As we take a look at standings right now, Caleb Russell once again leading the pack with Jordan Ashburn back in the number 2 spot, and the number 3 spot, Ricky Russell, Josh String, and Lane Michael rounding out your top 5 now as Mike Witkowski, Liam Draper, Jonathan Gerard. That's the way they came in. It's Johnny Gerard out front, Liam Draper in second. Now Mike Witkowski dropping off. Craig DeLong is 4th place. Cody Barnes rounding out the top 5. These are 2 classes we're going to be keeping an eye on. We'll also check in with the FMF XC3 when we return back to GNCC Racing here from the sands of Florida. Rodney Tomlin along with Jason Weig and also Aaron Plessinger, as we'll be back with more great GNCC Racing and GNCC Live right after this.
born of family values and a homegrown work ethic. Cometic Gasket seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best inside their engine. Cometic Gaskets are always constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environments. Whether it's a championship on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts alike depend on Cometic. Cometic Gasket, sealing championships since 1989.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young, and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
GNCC Live, Rodney Tomlin along with Mikey Waynes and Johnny Gallagher, and thanks to Jason Wygant as well as Aaron Plessinger for joining us in booth today as we pick the action back up here in the sands of Florida. Just past the halfway point at about now an hour and 35 minutes into this. Let's head on down to the pits. We got an update coming in.
Thanks, Rodney. We're down here in the factory Yamaha pits, the AmPro team, and we're with a factory Yamaha rider from very, very far away. He's traveled here today. Adrien Van Beveren from France is a Dakar and rally specialist. He had an injury, unfortunately, in this year's Dakar rally, and that freed him up a little bit to come travel here to the States to check out the Daytona Supercross last night. And when he found out that there was GNCC off-road racing going on, he knew he had to come see it for himself. Adrien, thank you so much for coming out. A factory Yamaha rider supported by Thor and so many other companies that are here at GNCC. What is it like for you to witness your first GNCC in person?
Wow! Hey everybody! I'm super happy and to discover this. To be honest, I didn't expect that. Looks like the track looks really slow and tricky, but to be honest, give me some feeling that I want someday some time to try that, because I was a specialist of sun races, you know, and also it's long. It's like 3 hours. Is more my kind of race. Is more what I like. And well, yeah, when I see that today, I feel the atmosphere. We are able also in USA to ride in the natural, complete wild place, and I like it.
So you're here, you're checking out GNCC for your first time, but you've got some common threads here, some common roots. The rider that's running in sixth place right now, Todd, what's his last name?
Yeah, Todd Kellett.
Todd Kellett, a friend of yours, is from the UK, and you had done the Le Tuque beach race many times, as you mentioned, a 3-hour sand race. And Todd Kellett actually has won the Weston Beach race, another long, very grueling sand race. And he's out here flexing some muscle and showing these American riders that he's very capable in the sand. You mentioned you would give this a try someday. Maybe Florida, GNCC here in the sand would be a good place for you to come try it?
Wow. To be honest, actually, I'm more focused on rally style and Dakar. But yeah, for sure, I'm happy to see Todd here. As I said before, what we are doing in Europe, the sand races in Europe are more fast. You know, it's like it's much more like straight on and big speed. Here for him, for sure, is more difficult because it's like more tricky in the trees and everything. But he can make the difference in the time also. You know, I feel I want to race for fun. The thing is, actually, I am still in recovery for my collarbone from Dakar, and I need to focus on my race career, you know. But yeah, if I have the opportunity someday to come, why not?
Well, absolutely. And thank you so much for coming out. We greatly appreciate it, Adrian. And Adrian, again, a top Dakar rider. For the American fans that don't follow Dakar as closely, Dakar Rally is as big as it gets in Europe, folks. This is GNCC and then some in terms of the exposure and the investment. Huge teams, big exposure, and this is one of the stars of rally racing out here taking in some GNCC action. We really appreciate you coming out.
I appreciate also, and maybe see you next time on the bike.
Perfect. We'd love to see you come out and give you a try at GNCC Racing. Thank you so much, Adrian. And back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot. Adrian Van Beveren, and there's Stu Baylor being towed in across from the pits here. If Stu's got a second, maybe he'll step in with us right now. We're joined in the booth also by Becca Sheets, our WXC two-time winner here in 2020. Congratulations to you. You are by and far the point leader as we head into round 3 in Georgia next week. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. At least Stu Baylor's smiling as he's waving at us over here.
Yeah,
He's
maybe
not
we
too
can.
upset.
Yeah, you know, that's a great way for him to be able to take that. And, you know, there's no mad, he wasn't a bit disgruntled, just smiling and disappointed, I'm sure, but at the same time realizing what they have, what they're faced with as far as the future is concerned.
Was that Johnny Girard that just went through
It
there?
likely was. Johnny Girard is leading, had gotten around
Nice.
and made the lead, pass into the lead of the XC2 250 class. Mike Wachowski second, Craig DeLong third, Liam Draper fourth. So that's been mixed up even more. Last check, I know that DeLong was moving up. Liam Draper was also up there knocking on the door of getting into position as well. But our top 4 right now separated amongst themselves about 12 seconds back to second, another 7 seconds back to third, and another 13 back to our 4th place ride. So they've got some tight racing. It sounds like a lot, but you know as well as I do, that's some tight numbers whenever we're talking GNCC racing.
Yeah, for sure. I actually had a chance to kind of spend a little bit of time with Johnny Girard this week. He was staying at Caleb's, and I've never really talked to him before, so it was cool to get to know him, and we went on a cycle together and had a good time, and he seems like he's really dedicated to the sport, and I think he's going to do really well this year. And
I think you're right.
Yep, and Mike Wachowski on the Yamaha is doing a really great job also, so it's cool to see that XC2 class.
Well, we saw him going by the TV booth there a few moments ago. He's been on screen for a few moments. Stu Baylor on the factory Sherco team there. What a heartbreaker it has to be for him. But like you pointed out, Becca, a big smile on his face whenever he came through. So he's taking it with a grain of salt. They probably will get this sorted out and figured out, and it will be a problem that they get sorted out, fixed, and probably won't see again in the future for that team.
Yeah, right. With all bikes, especially new bikes, you're going to have issues that you're going to find, and if you can figure out how to fix those issues, it'll get you through the races that come. So it's good that they're having these problems now, and they'll get it sorted out and figure out what they need to do going forward.
Exactly, and like I said, you know, they expected and anticipated these a few weeks ago, but here we are out now with Caleb Russell out front on point, and he does not appear to be slowing down any whatsoever. The rough sands are tough on the body and tough on the machine, but Caleb's out. His last time racing as an XC1 Pro Class racer here in the sands of Florida. And though it may be a track that beats him up and demands a lot from him. Like we heard him talking pre-race out there, you can tell he's having a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Caleb knows the sand. You know, with his property just down the road, he puts a lot of time here and in a lot of work, and I think he's just loving it out there. I actually had the pleasure of being there this week to train myself, and actually compared to Caleb's track, this racetrack actually seemed a little bit easier because Caleb's is so beat from all the guys training there this winter.
That's awesome. Well, Becca, congratulations to you on your big win here this morning. That's 2 in a row for you, and I know you're going to be looking forward to that when we roll into Georgia, looking for 3 in a row. I'm sure you're banking, or not banking, but that's what you're hoping for, right?
Yeah, for sure. I love the Florida track. That's one of my second favorites, I would say. Love the clay up there, so I'm excited to get back to that and out of this Florida sand.
Well, all righty. I'm sure a lot of folks feel like, I know you got a flat tire you need to take care of there, so we'll let you go take care of that, and we're going to talk with some other great folks here. Here at Bike Week, the beauty of that is, so many of the esteemed officials and folks from the headquarters of all these great manufacturers are out and about during Bike Week, and we got our Kawasaki heads down here with us. We're talking with Dan Fahey now as he makes his way down here to GNCC Racing. And Dan, welcome to GNCC, and of course, thanks for bringing Team Green Kawasaki back here to the off-road.
I can't tell you how excited we are to be here. I mean, this is so cool to see these guys go through the woods as fast as they go. You can't understand it until you're here to see it.
That's for sure. And I know you probably hear a lot of reports sitting back in the office and, all these different things of things going on. But until you yourself get out here to experience it firsthand, probably not nearly as impressive until you're seeing it. And I'm sure you're probably pretty impressed with what's going on here today with your team.
Absolutely. The speed these guys do and the endurance that these athletes have is just mind-blowing. They're going so hard for so long. Their level of concentration is so high. It's very, very impressive to see.
And, with the support of the Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Team Green team here with us, I've noticed that we're starting to see a lot more amateur support. And from what I understand, there might be more amateur support on the way in the future as far as Team Green Kawasaki is concerned.
Yes, we're always looking at that. Eddie's really stepped up to the program this year or last year. He's done a wonderful job of getting us up to speed. And the team is getting stronger. We're working, looking towards the future. We want to show people that Kawasaki is here. We're here to support them. That's what Team Green's all about.
Right. Yeah, and Team Green, for many years was a big part of things, and obviously some changes and some switches and budgets. But the beauty of it is to see the growth that we're seeing back here on the off-road side and the recognition of the manufacturers, and to see you guys out here. I think that is awesome. And Dan, just want to say thanks to you for coming out and being a part of our GNCC racing this weekend.
Well, thank you so much. We're so happy to be here.
Anything special we can be looking forward to as far as Kawasaki is concerned? I know I kind of touched on a couple little things, but anything big news or anything coming around the corner?
We're here just to support our customers. That's all I got for you today.
That's all the news that we need to have. Dan, thanks a lot for being a part of it. Hey,
right.
We got, looks like some updates coming down from the pits. Mikey Waynes, what's going on down there? Sounds like some problems maybe with one of our riders.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Down here with Stu Baylor in the Sherco pits. Stu, they're wrenching on the bike. You're chill, you're calm, you're collected, man.
Yeah, I already had my meltdown. The meltdown was out in the woods, so we're good. I knew it was going to take a lot of work. I've sent a list in, and we know there was a lot of things to do to get ready for GNCC. It's a totally different animal, and today it was a freak accident. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was something shorted out, something arced, but I thought the bike was going to catch on fire, and I was going down with it for a minute. It's a bummer. But looking back, I knew I was the fastest guy on the track. Once I made my moves, I reeled in Caleb quick, and I know it was early in the race, and he was probably still on chill mode, but he knew I was back there, and I think it would have been fun. I saw his lines, and mine were just a little bit better today, and I was able to once I made my moves, I could reel the guy in front of me in really quick without energy.
you know, it sucks. This is my track. I know it's my track, and you know, I don't have many tracks that I can say this is my track. And when you line up knowing that you're the fastest guy out there, it's tough when you have breaks like this. But you know, I can walk away with a smile. I was riding really good. We know where we have to build, and we're just going to step away and forget about this race and move forward, and you know, hopefully be able to do so with about just under 7 days, right?
That was going to be my next point. What do you take away from this, knowing that it's a short amount of time in between now and round 3 in Georgia?
You know, there's some positives, some negatives. I know the bike can do it. I know I can do it. And you know, it's just making sure that we get everything clicking. And right now, you know, there's a lot of things that we're just giving up 2% here or 1% here, and a GNCC 3 hours, 1 and 2%. That's a lot. That's minutes. So you know, you got to think. You got to think everything we're giving up on right now, and we just got to take the right steps. And you know, I think right now we've got a lot to build. We got a lot to build on, but we're getting there. And you know, Eric's working on the bike. We're deciding if we want to go out and throw one heater so all the boys know how to ride the sand, or if you know, maybe I should go bump Caleb a little bit. But I don't know. The wife's trying to talk me out of it.
Thanks, Stu. Take it back to you, Rodney.
All right, thanks a lot. And as Stu Baylor has a smile on his face, like he said, he had the meltdown out in the woods. But and as he said, he knew what he could expect with a new team, new bike, and everything. So not nearly as detrimental to his race day as what one would think. As there's Johnny Gerard, your leader in the XC2 250 Pro class now, as he makes his way through the Monster Mile. And as we were talking with Stu there, we got some highlights, I believe, that we can show if we want to throw it up in the box of last year and how strong that Stu was riding. And, of course, just exactly what kind of madman he really is in the sands of Florida. As you take a look at that there, you know, the start, not getting the best of starts for the 514 last year, but once he got into the woods, he was able to make things happen. And as you can see out there, a good start there for the 127 we see of, again, Jordan Ashburn. We saw him starting strong here today. He's riding strong again here today. But as this day wore on, you're watching down there in the right-hand side, there's Stu Baylor. You see him back about 5th or 6th place. This is early on lap number 1. It didn't take long, though, for Stu to work his way to the front of the pack. And once Stu got out there, kind of shadowed for a little while by, of course, Caleb and Thad and the rest of the crew out there. But all of a sudden, by races in, somehow or another, Stu Baylor was able to really put himself in a great position. Even with that little incident right there where his bike stalled coming out of the pits, the Tealy Industry crew getting on that, they refire the machine back up. Try to anyway, and there you see, well, I forgot about this part of the race last year. Man, Stu really had to work out of some big holes, had to dig out of a deep hole right there. So they finally got that bike started back up. He gets back out front. Like you said, fastest guy on the track in the sands of Florida, and even that guy right there, Caleb Russell, couldn't keep up with Stu Baylor a year ago here in Florida. And as we watch up in the top left-hand corner, today is Caleb Russell's day as we're watching him through the field. But there, Stu Baylor, the big win here in Florida last year, was hoping for that again here today, but unfortunately it won't happen. Maybe we'll see it in Georgia as Stu Baylor, once again, making waves in the GNCC Racing Nation. Back out to on the racetrack here, as we pointed out a moment ago, we had Caleb Russell out in front. Now, at last check, Russell was leading by 1.5 minutes over Jordan Ashburn, so we should be seeing Jordy Ashburn check in here in just a few moments. Ricky Russell back in the number 3 spot, and Josh Strang up to 4th as Lane Michael has now dropped off to 5th. Again, stellar ride, stellar performance by the 523 once again this weekend. And you look at the big picture, we're seeing some major gains by Lane Michael right now, and it's pretty exciting to watch this transition from this young man, especially after watching him through the youth ranks, expecting so much, and finally in a position, it seems like, in his career where things might finally start to fall in place. As you take a look at the overall top 10 right now, you see Johnny Gerard is actually running 6th place overall, as there is your 2nd place ride in the XC1 class now checking in out in that open field section. And looks like he's got some company back there. Ricky Russell is hot on that rear fender as Russell looks over his shoulder there to see where Josh Strang might be. Strang was about 15 seconds back. Don't see him in the picture right now, but we know he's back there. Ricky Russell knows he's back there, and Ricky Russell is laying chase right now. And here it goes. We might see the pass taking place. Nope, not going to happen, as Ashburn is able to get back on that throttle, but you can see that the rough and rowdy one is looking for that smoother line. He's going outside. He's going inside, trying to stay out of that main race line that is so rough and oftentimes taking away some of the speed and some of the horsepower that these riders are going to need to make these passes. But whatever the case may be right now, Jordan Ashburn is not going to relinquish that second place position to Ricky Russell anytime soon. Ricky keeps pushing. He goes to the inside, back to the outside. What's going to happen now through this open field section? This is amazing. This is the battle for second place. We pick it up now on the Yamaha Skycam as they're side by side. Nearly the pass right there, but shutting the door on him. Jordan Ashburn maintaining that number 2 position now. Bobbing and weaving through these trees and through these S-turns. Look at the traction that Ashburn has gotten and now starting to stretch out over that Husky rider of Ricky Russell. We're laying down the law out here on lap number 4. An hour and 50 minutes into this race. These riders are due in about 5 minutes for lap number 4 complete, as we'll have one more hour to go of GNCC racing here in the sands of Florida. Some lap traffic there slowing Ashburn down just a little bit, giving Russell an opportunity to close that gap back up. But back in these open sections, we see back on the hammer goes Jordan Ashburn, keeping that gap wide open between he and the 212 machine. Wow, what great coverage from Yamaha Racing in this Skycam right now, as we have been watching these guys on screen for about 2 minutes now or longer, and this battle unbelievable here for second place position. A minute and a half behind Caleb right now, but this is where all eyes are, and I know a lot of folks are wondering what's going to happen in this runner-up position today, as it has certainly turned into a torrid battle. And side by side they go again. Russell pulls up beside him here in the trees to the inside, and he makes the pass. A little bobble by Jordan Ashburn, and Ricky Russell makes the pass in the second place. And see, you wouldn't want to be. You look at that gap now between he and that Monster Energy Kawasaki rider. He is laying it down now, and Jordan Ashburn trying to regain composure and get back into the groove and the flow. But Ricky Russell is going to be tough to catch at this point. Looks like he's got one thing in mind in setting his sights, and that's trying to bridge that minute and 30-second gap between he and Caleb Russell. But we're getting reports now that Ricky Russell is going to have to stop into the pits, and he's going to have to make a pit stop. That could be an advantage for Ashburn if he doesn't have to stop. But we look at the big picture. Remember, Ashburn stopped on lap 2. This is lap 4. If they're going on 2-lap strategies, that means they're both going to stop, as Johnny Gallagher, the other Johnny G, joins us back here in the broadcast booth. And Johnny Gallagher, I know we talked about that earlier, about the pitting strategy, the 2 laps and so forth. It could pay dividends if maybe Ashburn decides not to pit this time around. We do know that they do have a planned stop for Ricky Russell this time.
Yeah, absolutely, Rodney. You know, and this is what we saw so early in this race. When the pit stop strategies become apparent, the other teams, the other riders will strategize accordingly. Here we go. Ricky Russell in the pits. Oh, Jordan Ashburn stops in the background. Both riders in VP Fuels Pro Row. Both riders getting fuel. Both riders getting goggles, and they're on the throttle. It looks like Ricky Russell's going to get out just ahead of Jordan Ashburn.
Wow, what an MMI pit stop for those guys. Both guys in and out. A splash of gas, new goggles, a quick drink of water, and back on the throttle. The distance still about the same as whenever they came into the pits, but looks like Ashburn may have regained that composure. That little stop right there, that little reset for him might have been exactly what he needed at this juncture in the race.
You know, Rodney, we see that so many times. It's only about 6 to 8 seconds that they're actually at a stop, but it's just enough to catch your breath, reset, refocus, and prepare to go back after a new battle. And, man, Ricky Russell, early in this one, started writing him off.
Yeah.
He didn't look good. He just didn't look like he had what it was going to take today. And Ricky is a grinder, man. I mean, this is a guy that loaded up his bikes with no support, a few $100s in his bank account just a few short years ago in 2013. Came to GNCC Racing on his own dime, on a beat-up van with dirt bikes that wouldn't even make it to round 1. Before round 1, both of his dirt bikes were down. He could not afford to repair them. He made a deal with Paul Whibley to purchase one of Paul Whibley's practice Yamaha YZ450s, basically on a handshake deal of, I'll work on your practice track. I'll help you out. I'll give you a few $100s here and there when I can, and I'll pay for this bike, I promise. Paul Whibley gave this guy a shot. Here we are 7 years later. Ricky Russell, second at round 1, running second at round 2. And right now seems to be Caleb Russell's stiffest competition for the 2020 GNCC Overall Championship. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, folks, that's a rags to riches story that dreams are made of. You want to work hard, come to GNCC, you can prove yourself.
That's it, and Ricky Russell doing just exactly that. He come out with only the name of he was a great West Coast rider, and I remember making the announcement. I seen his name on there. I saw Ricky Russell, and I'm like, he had no sponsors listed. All it said was Duval, Washington, and I had to think of something else to say about him. I said, he's rough, he's rowdy, he's Ricky, and it stuck with him. And, you know, even though he's not a big guy and he's not real, man, he really lives up to that name, I think, on the racetrack out there.
He is rough and he's rowdy, and look at this guy. Rough and rowdy doesn't even begin to describe this guy. You know, I made it 2 laps to go, 4 laps in, complete on this one. Folks, I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I'm going to tell you right now, if you're watching this at home, shame on you for not being here, and I surely hope that you make it out to as many GNCC rounds as you can in 2020, because if you've never seen or haven't seen lately or haven't seen today Caleb Russell ride a dirt bike in a GNCC, you're missing out, folks. This is the embodiment of heart, determination, and absolute dedication to a craft, and you're seeing it firsthand.
No doubt, and if you have a chance, this year will be the last opportunity you get to see him under professional conditions in racing GNCC. Who knows what the future holds? We say that because we know once he retires, he'll maybe move on, maybe in a few years and race another class. I don't know that that'll even happen, but the one thing is you want to see Caleb Russell on his farewell tour. You want to come to Georgia this coming weekend. Next Sunday, he'll be there. Also, when we go down to Steel Creek in Morganton, North Carolina, when we go to South Carolina, back again to South Carolina, when we go down to Camp Coker, he'll be there. Make plans. Go to GNCCRacing.com right now. Find out where the closest races are and come and see one of the greatest GNCC racers of all time. 61, working on 62 wins here today, 7 national championships.
7 national championships, 61 working on 62 wins, but more than anything, the road that this guy has had to hoe is something that most can't even wrap their head around. Here we go. Ricky Russell in the number 2 spot. Looks like he is shaking the pressure from the number 127 of Jordan Ashburn. Not by a whole lot, but he stretched that gap out. It was just a few bike lengths. Now it's a few seconds. Ricky Russell letting that Coastal Racing Husqvarna eat.
Well, I'll tell you, you know, we talked about that minute and a half. Minute 29 is what they were whenever they came through. Ashburn was behind Caleb Russell there at the end of lap number 3. At the end of lap number 4, the intensity level of Ricky Russell coming into that, he was only a minute and 32 seconds. So even being a little further back and having to work his way up, he still only lost 3 seconds on that lap of racing right there. So very impressive as far as, actually probably closer to 2-point-something seconds, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely, and that definitely is still within striking range if something happens. But, you know, we know how these races unfold, and we know a guy like Caleb Russell is a master tactician. He's watching his pit boards. His crew is very much keeping him appeased of exactly what his gap is, and he knows he's right around that minute 30 range. So as long as he doesn't see a big change in that time gap, Caleb Russell is going to continue to ride a pace that he's comfortable with, not taking those risks that he was taking earlier in the race, not pushing himself at exactly 100%. Here we see Andrew DeLong in the pits, the number 410. He has been on a charge the last couple laps, and I tell you what, this guy, after a long pit stop to change a brake system, again, a very respectable time to change that, but an unscheduled pit stop of roughly 3 minutes, he is charging back up, and I think we are going to see him up pretty high up in the overall when he checks in over there. We last knew he was in 16th, and I think he's working up from there.
Well, we'll be keeping an eye on that overall for him here in just a moment. As I take actually up to 14th at the end of lap number 3, according to timing and scoring here, Johnny Gallagher. And, of course, with that, looking at some of these results, Russell, Caleb, and Ricky both in. Jordan Ashburn is in. He's only 4.7 seconds behind Ricky Russell. We didn't see him on camera, but he is still there, knocking on the door. Another 16 seconds back is Josh Strang. Lane Michaels should be checking in about any time in that 5th place position. And a minute and 46 seconds behind him is Todd Kellett, the number 998. The one thing to point out, again, Stu Baylor out of this one, and that's an unfortunate incident for him. Grant Baylor in out for just a moment. They changed the tank, changed the fuel pump on that machine, and sent him back out. He is currently running in the 10th place position in class, but certainly trying to make up some gains and some ground out there. And, you know, looking and watching these guys work, we know that they've got their hands full coming up this week. Eric and then the guys?
969, Johnny Gerard checking in. That is your XC2 leader,
I got to see where he is in the overall now. He was 6th. He is up to 5th place overall now.
Yeah, so 5th place overall. Johnny Gerard leading the way in that XC2 Pro Lights class, and we'll be waiting and watching. I don't believe we've seen Mike Wachowski. There he is, Mike Wachowski, the 282 Pro Yamaha, still hot on the heels of Gerard. But I tell you what, it looks like he might be feeling a bit, folks. Johnny Gerard also looked pretty taxed in that. I mean, folks, we're 2 hours and 2 minutes into this, and this is a rough Florida track. So everybody's feeling it. Everybody's struggling. But it's those that dig the deepest and are able to find that little bit extra to give. You know, your body and your brain are going to tell you, I'm done. You just got to keep digging, and that's what these guys are doing right now.
Well, I'll tell you, the mechanics are probably the ones working as hard as anyone today, trying to keep these machines rolling. And under these conditions and these circumstances, we've seen a lot of bikes getting a lot of work done today for various different reasons. And of course, with that, it brings to mind our good friends at Motorcycle Mechanic Institute, where you can get there smarter and faster. And of course, with that, we like to take the opportunity to spotlight and highlight some of our men and women that work behind the scenes. And of course, this week we have our MMI Spotlight, and it is with our Sherco factory sponsored mechanic, Mr. Garrett, which is Stu Baylor's mechanic.
My name is Garrett Ward. I'm from Burgestown, Pennsylvania, and I'm Stuart Baylor, Junior's mechanic for Factory 1 Sherco. I mean, it's a fun life. I mean, you get to do what you love to do. I mean, you're out at the races every weekend. It's not like a desk job, and it just, there's a lot of hours in it, but I wouldn't change it. It's fun. The least favorite thing I'd say is probably Monday after the race, washing after a mutter, but for the most part, I can't complain. It's a fun job. Probably a weird thing that's kind of dumb is, like, with Grant, he'd always catch branches in his levers right here. So we legit took a zip tie and just looped it around his bark buster, and that fixed the problem. It's simple, but it works. We try to get this bike like a moto bike with the performance and everything, but ours, we have to make sure it lasts 3 hours of non-stop abuse and mud, sand, and there's no break in 3 hours. The Sherkas are really good. I mean, this bike is literally pretty much out of the box, ready to race. It comes with KYB suspension, Akrapovic exhaust. Like, they are from the factory, amazing. And like, we're doing small tweaks to them, and I mean, last week we got 4th on it, out of the box.
Mr. Garrett Ward out there. And of course, still looking at that bike. They're working right now trying to figure out what the problem is. They want to get it sorted out now and get to work on it. They don't have a lot of time, 7 days to get this all sorted out.
Eric Surratt is elbow deep in that thing. He is trying everything to figure it out. And elbow deep in this 14-mile, 13 and change mile course out here at the Big Boar GNCC, and Caleb Russell leading the way.
Yeah.
We got Lane Michael there in first. We got a glitch again, but Caleb Russell leading the way, coming to the FMF power point at the 3-mile marker. And Caleb Russell on cue, right out. Those guys nailed the timing on that one, folks. At the FMF power point, Caleb Russell on that factory Red Bull KTM, just absolutely strutting his stuff for the fans. And like we were talking about a moment ago, folks, if you haven't had the opportunity to see Caleb Russell do his thing, 2020 might be your last chance, at least in a full-time, or will be your last chance in a full-time capacity. And man, it's something to watch. Poetry in motion has never been something that was mentioned with Caleb Russell. He doesn't make it look smooth. He gets the job done. He's smooth, but he has this burst speed and this pure determination that is, you know, it's something I think Caleb coming up through in the amateur ranks and even early in his pro career was one of the riders that I was hardest on because you could see the talent, you could see how much he had on his side in terms of all the opportunities he had with, you know, great companies like KTM backing him. And, you know, I personally didn't feel like he made the most of those sometimes. Right. I wasn't a Caleb Russell fan. I've told him that. Now we're quite good friends. I hang out with him, stay at his house. But, this is a guy that has truly taken everything he's learned throughout his life and continue to grow, become better, not only as a racer but as a person. And, man, it is fun to watch him ride a dirt bike.
It's called maturity, and he definitely matured, no doubt about it. And, of course, as we look out here at the 3-mile marker, waiting on that second-place ride, 1 minute and 32 seconds back is what Ricky Russell was. At the finish line, Jordan Ashburn 4 seconds behind him, and Josh Strang another 16 seconds back of that. We're going to keep an eye on this for a moment, and then I'm going to dive into some of these other classes for just a few moments, Johnny. I want to check in with some of these classes or some of these other riders to see where Ricky is right now.
We should be seeing Ricky Russell. There he is, Ricky Russell popping out. Do not see the 127 of Jordan Ashburn on his rear wheel. It appears he has opened up that gap. What was it, 4 seconds I think we saw at the finish line?
Yeah.
Looks like it's a little bit more than that. So the Duval, Washington native, again, the journeyman ATV racer, journeyman motorcycle racer, packed up his van, came to GNCC Racing, now has, look at this, folks. Look at this. We've got Josh Strang. We'll have to check with our producer, Adam, to see if we did, in fact, miss Jordan Ashburn, or has Josh Strang made the pass and moved up into a podium position? We did miss Jordan Ashburn. So Jordan Ashburn is still in that third-place spot. Josh Strang in fourth, but we think that gap is tightening up, and we may see a battle over not only our third-place spot, but potentially our second-place spot, although Ricky Russell seems to be stretching it out a little bit over those other two.
Right, he really seems to be laying it down out there as we watched on the Yamaha Skycam the battle that he had with Jordan Ashburn. That was impressive, to say the least. As we take a look at some of our other classes and other racing, let's take a real quick look at our top 10 overall. Russell, Ashburn, Strang, and Johnny G, the other Johnny G, Johnny Gerard, your XC2250 Pro Class leader, is 5th place overall.
Now, when you get down to 10, I want to say something about Todd Collette.
All right, Mike Witkowski in the second-place position, 250 Pro Class, is 6th overall. Craig DeLong, 7th in the overall. 3rd in class. Lane Michaels dropped to 8th overall. Liam Draper, 4th in class, is 9th overall. And Todd Kellett rounds out your top 10, the rider from the United Kingdom.
From the UK, and this is, again, we talked about it earlier in the show, Graham Whitcomb, a former ATV racer that used to race GNCC with us, sent some texts, let us know that he was coming. And, we get this a lot. You get visiting riders that come over, and people will toot their horns and say, hey, this guy's so good. The level of GNCC racing is just so high, it's rare that you see a rider come in and actually make an impact within the top 10 overall. Todd Collette, absolutely doing it today here in 10th place overall. A huge, huge, huge shout out to him and that AmPro Yamaha team for backing him this weekend. And a new breath of fresh air into the GNCC series. This one-off ride may turn into something more. You just never know.
Hey, you never know. And that's, oftentimes that's what they come over here to prove something to themselves and to prove something to the world. And sometimes they open up the eyes of folks and get themselves a ride out here. We've seen it happen on more than one occasion.
Johnny Gerard, the leader of the XC2 class, coming by on screen there at 2:09.48. He popped into our shot, so we'll wait and see what kind of a gap he has over Mike Witkowski, the 282 machine. Is Johnny Gerard potentially going to get his first ever XC2 win here today in this Florida Sands?
Possibly. It looks like he's on rails to do that as we check through the ranks. I just wanted to real quick give you an idea of our top amateur ride right now. Brody Johnson from the Phoenix Racing Honda team is running in the 24th place overall position. He is your top non-XC1, 2, or 3 rider. He's 258 class, 24th overall, so he's your top amateur right now. If you look a little further back than that, in the second place position, all the way back in 35th place, is the leader of the Open A class, is Chase Hayes. And 3rd place overall in the amateur overall is 2nd place in the Open A class, Alex Luger, the number 36, who currently sits in 39th place overall position. So that top amateur stuff seems to be getting pretty challenging out there today for these riders. Johnny, as we check in now with the XC2250 Pro, we told you Johnny Gerard out front. He had about a 25-second lead over Mike Witkowski when they checked in for 4 laps complete. Craig DeLong in 3rd, Liam Draper in the number 5 spot, about 1 minute and 29 seconds back. Cody Barnes another minute back in 5th place. Then it's Evan Smith in 6th, Tegan Temple in 7th. Jesse Ansley, who's featured on the event t-shirt and his rookie season as a 250 Pro rider right here out of Mayaca City, Florida, in 8th place of the class. Simon Johnson, the 23 out of Bennington, Vermont, in 9th, and Tom Devlin out of Pennsylvania rounds out the top 10 in the XC2 250 Pro class. As we take a look at the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class, love to see these numbers out here as we're seeing this class grow. But Cole Madison, the 332 from Emmons, South Carolina, leading the 156 of Dominic Morris from Newark Valley, New York. Third place then the 862 of Jake Pinion out of Linville, Indiana. And Caleb Russell now out at this FMF PowerPoint, Johnny, at 2 hours and 11 minutes into this race. Still seems to be in total control.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just flowing right now. You can see he's picking those nice smooth lines, running those outsides, trying to save energy. Still charging, but definitely not at the fever pitch that we saw earlier when he was trying to open up that gap. Again, probably playing the gap game where he watches the pit boards, sees exactly what he's got. We know it's kind of been hovering right around that 1 hour or 1 minute 30 second. It's 1:30, it's 1:28, it's 1:32. It's all right around there. So no cause for concern for Caleb Russell if it fluctuates a couple seconds either way. If you're Ricky Russell, you got to chip into that gap now with less than 2 laps complete. You know, a minute and a half is a very comfortable gap. If you can get that down below a minute where they start seeing that number drop down to the 50-second range, the 40-second range, that's when you can really start to get into somebody's head. Tall order with a guy like Caleb Russell, but if you're Ricky Russell, you got to throw everything you got at it and try to make it happen.
As I said, Jake Froman running third in the 125 Pro-Am class now with Zach Hayes, the 722 from Sumter, South Carolina, and fourth. Nathan Federer out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, the 651 rounds out the top 5. Then Jason Lipscomb in 6th, Jason Raines in 7th, Benjamin Wright in 8th, Chase Colville in 9th, and Mike DeLosa rounding out the top 10. And no, there is not. Actually, there is not one Florida native rider in this class right now, so you cannot lend the hand of sand riding specialists to being in the front of this pack, and why guys like Jason Raines and why guys like Chase Colville are back in 8th and 9th place positions out there, because we're used to seeing them run up front in this class. As we go next to the 250 or the Open A class, it's Chase Hayes. There's Ricky Russell on screen now at the 6-mile marker, Johnny Gallagher, as we watch him still about a minute and 30 seconds behind Caleb Russell, maybe closer to a minute 40 now, but Chase Hayes, the 62 from Sumter, South Carolina, leading.
Look at this. Jordan Ashburn putting on a resurgence. He is closing back up on Ricky Russell. We saw that gap starting to widen. Now it is starting to narrow. He can see Ricky Russell in these longer straight sections, and I think if we look back, we're going to see, and look at this. Ricky Russell has got a rear view mirror full of green. The Monster Energy Babbitt Kawasaki boys are coming, and they're coming strong.
Alex Luger in the number 2 spot of the Open A class, 36 from Orlando, Florida. From Claremont, Florida, Scott Gawler, the 991, is 3rd. Cook Beggart out of Zanesville, Ohio, the 28, and 4th. Ryan Quinn out of Landing, New Jersey, rounds out the top 5 in the Open A class after 3 laps of racing complete. Brody Johnson checking in for 4 now, and he's leading that 258 class. Had a lead of 3 minutes and 52 seconds over Tristan Lander, the 37, out of Nelsonville, Ohio, who was 2nd at the end of lap 3. 637 Andrew Gross from Hancock, New York, in 3rd. 4th place, 167 Michael McGee from Agdo, New Jersey, and Neil Inman, the 764 out of Bangor, PA, rounds out the top 5.
And Caleb Russell on screen here in the Monster Mile, and it almost seems as though he has picked the pace back up. He's back sprinting, he's standing up, he's standing that bike on the rear wheel, just trying to plow his way through this very, very rough wild boar track.
Well, there's a doggone good chance he's getting the pit board that Ricky Russell is on the move and on the push, so with that, he doesn't want to let him bridge that gap, and he is check in. That's not Ricky Russell, that was 21, but regardless, Ricky will be coming through here in just a few moments as we look at the 150A class, a new class for 2020, it looks like. The number 30 of Max Fernandez from Oxville, PA, leading that one. The 2nd place position, the 404 of Tanner Collins from Crooksville, Ohio. 929 Blake Yaris out of Mayaca City, Florida, in 3rd. The 565 of Dylan Hicks from Westchester, Pennsylvania, in 4th. And the beta ride of the 469 of Daniel Fortner out of Westfield, New York, rounds out the top 5 in the 150A class. There is
Johnny Girard,
yeah,
leader of the XC2 class, and wow, he is really hanging it out. He knows Mike Witkowski back there lurking. He knows that those guys kind of slept on Witkowski a little bit, I think, a few weeks ago there in Big Bog. Johnny Girard not going to let that happen again. Was on the podium, but you could tell he was not happy with being up there in the 3rd place spot. He really wanted to be, actually, I'm sorry, I think he was in 2nd place spot. Craig DeLong in the 3rd place spot 2 weeks ago. So it's the same top 3, but a different order. Johnny Girard leading the way. Mike Witkowski in 2nd, and Craig DeLong on the charge in that 3rd place spot, almost within sight of Witkowski when we last saw him.
Well, Cole Kirkhoff leading the 4-stroke 8 lights class out of Monroe City, Indiana. And look at that. There's Ricky Russell now.
Look at the handguard. The handguard's hanging down. Ricky Russell apparently has had a crash or at least a collision with a tree. I don't believe that handguard was hanging down like that a moment ago when we saw him.
I don't recall it looking like that either. If it was, it wasn't near as bad as what it is now. A couple of things going on there with the broken handguard. Obviously, the protection is gone. And also, that flopping around, just another added distraction that he's going to have to deal with throughout these next couple of laps, it looks like.
Well, folks, he better get mentally tough because, like I said, he's got a rear view mirror full of Monster Energy Kawasaki green, the 127 of Jordan Ashburn, and the 114 of the Freight Train, Josh Strang. Those guys are charging. They're charging currently in the 3rd and 4th place overall, putting pressure on Ricky Russell for 2nd. Now, keep in mind, Ricky Russell did come up from behind those guys and make the pass. He momentarily seemed as though he was starting to drop them, open up that gap.
Yeah.
But now it seems as though the tables have potentially turned. The Cowie boys are on the hammer, and they're saying they've got the hook into Ricky Russell, and they're saying, oh, no, buddy. We want those podiums. We want to put both of these Monster Energy Kawasaki's on the podium. Ricky Russell going to fight that, try as best as he can to keep his Coastal Racing Husqvarna on that podium position.
All right, we're going to take a look at a replay a little earlier to see whether or not Ricky Russell's handguard was broken before he reached the 7-mile marker. Here we are at the 6-mile marker now, so we'll get a good bird's eye. Yep, it was broken at the 6-mile marker, it looks like, dangling there. So we know he's been riding that way for a couple of miles at least now, so it may not be as much of an issue.
Yeah, that definitely could be something we missed. You know, it just seems like it's a little bit more pronounced looking now. Whoa, folks. Mike Witkowski appears to have bonked. He has lost a lot of time to Johnny Girard.
That was Lane Michael.
Oh, okay. Never mind. All right, Lane Michael. Okay, my bad. When I saw him come by, I saw the riding position. I saw Lane is doing all he can to try and hang on here at the end of this one. But you can see he is out of energy. Same gear, Blue Machine. My apologies. Normally pretty good at that, but I botched that one big time. Sorry, folks. No sense of urgency if you're a Mike Witkowski fan. Lane Michael still running solidly. I believe last we had seen him overall, he was in that I believe 10. He was in the 9th or 10th place overall, 9th place overall position. So still running solidly in the top 10, but it looks as though, here we go.
He's actually up to 6th place overall now. Johnny Girard is your 5th place rider. We already knew that, but he's 25 seconds behind now. Witkowski has moved into 6th place overall time adjustment.
And Johnny Girard on screen just taking a drink there, a drink bottle from one of his crew members on the side of the track. Johnny Girard is charging. This is a rider that came into 2019 very prepared. He had spent some time down here in Florida at Caleb Russell's place, just a little bit, trying to prepare himself and his machine. Then he had that very, very scary health issue, a misdiagnosis it ended up being, but nonetheless, he was out of GNCC racing for the remainder of the season, what they believed at the time to be cancer. Ultimately, he was able to get himself cured up. It was some issues that showed up incorrectly on a scan. It ended up not being cancerous, I believe, from what I understand. Regardless, back here after what potentially could be considered a life-altering event, Mike Witkowski on screen. That gap has opened up, not as much as we thought, and Rodney, look behind Mike Witkowski. Oh, we cut away to Caleb Russell, but Craig DeLong right there behind Witkowski.
Yeah, and that's the place that we kind of expected to see Craig. Craig got taking a little longer to get up to speed today than I kind of anticipated it would take him. But we've, well, you can note that that's probably what we saw out of him a couple of weeks ago, too. So maybe a little different approach for Craig here in this first couple of rounds. But I'm sure that he'll be attacking things when we roll into Georgia here in just a few short days. Caleb Russell now making his way around out in that big open field section again. So we get to see that poetry in motion you were talking about there, Johnny. And while we do that, I want to look at a couple more classes here real quick just to give the race fans back home an idea of what's going on. Cole Kirkhoff out of Monroe City, Indiana, the 408, leading the 4-stroke A-Lights class with Travis Reynaud out of Stafford, Missouri, 324 in second. Third place, Adam Hollenkamp out of Waynesboro, Virginia. Fourth place, the 351 of Joseph Cunningham from Murray City, Ohio. And that's JoJo Cunningham, last year's youth champion, if I'm not mistaken. I got an interview with him for 10 seconds, XC Off-Road Cast that we'll hopefully be playing in the next week or so as well. Also got the 104 of Tyler Palmer from Denver, North Carolina, 4-stroke A-Lights, top 5. As we go next to the Junior AB 25-plus class, Sam Forrester out of Elkton, Maryland. I think he got a whole shot in that class. Has a 4-minute and 4-second lead over Jonathan Manila. The 216 from Chesney, Quebec, Chesney, Quebec, Canada. Another 9 seconds back then is Austin Franklin out of Gainesville, Georgia. 7:38 Aloka Papul out of Cadiz, Kentucky in fourth. And Fallon Garrison, the 3:38 out of Pine Bush, New York, rounds out the top 5 junior A/B 25-plus class riders. Vet A class, Eric Forsberg, who is the brother of Maria Forsberg, former WXC champion here in the GNCC Racing Nation. He's all the way from Edmonds, Washington, enjoying a now 21-second lead over the 826 of Silvano de Ferra. Joe Marsh, the 40 in third. Then it's Nathan Alring and Wasley Textra.
Ricky Russell on screen there through that corner. It is now a 11-second gap back to Jordan Ashburn, counting off of what we're watching on screen. The 127 Monster Energy Babbitt's Online Kawasaki machine is charging hard, but right now is just not able to chip in any away at that gap that Ricky Russell is starting to build up. 4 seconds at the finish line. Now 11 out here at roughly the 9-mile marker. And Josh Strang, we know, just behind this duo here, also tasting a podium just outside of his grasp at this moment.
Well, we keep seeing that red background number plate with a 21 on it. We do want to inform folks that is not one of our players here today. There's one of our players, the 114 of Josh Strang.
Yeah, Strang and Ashburn, again, both charging, but Ricky Russell is matching them move for move. And right now, this is exactly that, a chess match over this final podium position. They're coming in. They'll be getting the white flag when they come through this time through the finish line. They've got one more trip through VP Fuels Pro Row coming up. Then they'll be at the finish line, and then only one lap of 13 miles stands between Caleb Russell, victory number 62, Ricky Russell, another podium, potentially another second place to start the year. And again, this one isn't over, folks, but a minute and a half gap. You've got to believe that Caleb Russell, again, is kind of managing that gap. He's watching things, letting them unfold, and not exactly at a full sprint trying to do all that he can, just doing what he needs to do to maintain that lead at this point.
Well, doing a great job of that, and of course, do want to hit a couple more classes. Keep an eye on this as we watch the beauty of this Yamaha Racing Skycam.
Yeah, Ricky Russell being followed right now by the Yamaha Racing drone, and you know, this guy, man, we've talked about it so much, but it's just such an awesome story. It's, you know, this guy, he's overcome the odds. He's bounced, I won't say bounced from team to team. You know, he's been very loyal to the people that have supported him, but he's ridden so many brands in his 7-year tenure here now in GNCC. And to see him up here battling for wins consistently on the podium, it's just, oh, wow, that was a big swap there from Ricky Russell, but he just gives that FC350 just a little bit more twist of the throttle and back on it. And, you know, I think one thing that really, I believe personally, is helping Ricky Russell out this year is not only the great backing that he's got from his sponsors like Coastal Racing Husqvarna and all the companies and people that are behind him, but having a guy like Barry Hawk in his corner, working with him day to day in the pits, out there giving him pit boards, and even at home at the practice track. You know, that man, Barry Hawk, in my opinion, has more race knowledge and racecraft. Obviously, I mean, 8 championships speaks for itself, but there's other guys that have that number or approaching that number of championships. But Barry Hawk has done it on everything. He's done it in so many different genres. You know, he did it back in the grassroots days when everybody was racing out of pickup trucks all the way up to the days of riding for factory Yamaha out of a semi. I mean, this is a guy that just eats, lives, and breathes GNCC racing. Now, as the team manager for Coastal Racing Husqvarna, he opens up that just wealth of knowledge, that book of everything that he's learned, and passes it over to a man like Ricky Russell, who can take that raw talent, that raw desire, and another swap. And you know, between the two of them, they're really making some things happen this year.
Well, I tell you, that right there is a true indication of just how well that machine actually works. I mean, under normal circumstances, probably if you don't have your suspension set up in the proper way, a swap out like that, whenever it tries to correct itself, would probably bounce you around a little more. Not that suspension. They've got it dialed in, and I think that's one of the saving graces that's keeping Ricky Russell on those 2 wheels and keeping him moving forward. That and the heart and the determination that he wants to track down Caleb Russell.
Yeah, he's just willing that bike back under him when it gets sideways like that. That really just comes down to pure, absolute determination. Here we see, there's Joey Maurer, a man that has, you know, coached and maintained so many machines and so many riders over the year, and he gave Josh Strang the simplest of signals. He gave him a pit board and pointed ahead. There, sir, is your podium. Go get it.
That's it. And, it'd be great to see Josh get podiums back-to-back like that. I know it's tough to see teammates battled out like that, and I know both riders are probably wanting to be the #1 guy on the team. And when you got talents like Jordan Ashburn and Josh Strang together, it's so tough to really decide who you're going to focus all your energies on out there, because and the thing is, they got both these guys, and if they keep running together like this, it's going to be really good for the whole team as the season wears on.
Oh, Jordan Ashburn down big. He swapped across that. You saw him get a kick. Josh Strang goes by him and into the third. I believe that was Strang that just went by.
Yeah.
Jordan Ashburn, folks, he is up. He is okay. He is back going. But Jordan Ashburn just had a big one, folks. He got a swap when he tried to jump across that ditch. He got sideways, the bike high-sided, and launched him hard. He got up. He appears to be okay. He is back riding. Wow, that was a scary one to watch.
Yes, it was, and that's the sand comes out to bite you on occasion, it looks like, and that's exactly what it's done. But like you said, Johnny, he's back up and he's rolling, and that does open the way now for the 114 of Josh Strang to move into that now #3 position and looking at his second consecutive podium. And we're looking at an identical podium to just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, there we go. Caleb Russell coming in, white flag waving. One more lap to go here at the Wild Boar GNCC. Caleb Russell on his way. One more lap stands between him. One more very rough lap stands between him and win number 62. And opening up with 2 wins here in 2020. That's what the goal is for him. He's looking to get the job done today. And now we'll sit back and we'll watch and we'll wait roughly a minute and a half. I think we got a replay of what happened to Jordan Ashburn. He comes out, you can see around this corner. And as he tries to jump to this outside line, you can see he kind of cases the other side. The bike swaps. He almost has it saved. And then the front end tucks and he high sides. Gets right back up to his feet, though. You can tell he's a little disoriented there, but man, that was a hard hit. You can see right there, he smashes into the other side, up over the tank, and just loses it, high sides. The bike gets away from him, Rodney.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, you have to wonder what was there in that line that kicked him like that. I mean,
it's just I was down there earlier today, and it's just a real square edge on that ditch, and where they're jumping it and hitting it, it's starting to get cupped out. My guess would be the suspension just didn't absorb it fully, and that was just enough that it just absolutely just unloaded his suspension, sent him for a ride, and he did his best to save it. But kudos to him getting up quick, but man, he felt that one.
Yes, he did, and fortunately he bounced right back up to his feet and got right back on the machine, probably losing a little time, losing one position, but hopefully not losing his focus out there. Maybe lay some chase back down to his teammate and create yet another phenomenal battle in this final lap for the final podium position between those two. So as we take a look at the running order now, as far as the overall is concerned, after 5 laps of racing complete, Caleb Russell is the only rider to check in so far. Again, 1 minute and 30 seconds is what he had, but I think it's larger this time.
Ricky Russell on screen, white flag waving. This is going to be absolutely a sprint for him going back to the final lap of racing, trying to hold on to that second place spot, knowing that Josh Strang is back there lurking. Ricky Russell's hard on the throttle and trying to open up that gap a little bit more over the 114 machine, and there he is, folks.
There he is, Josh Strang. I tell you, we saw some good glimpses of the old Josh Strang late last season as well, as he really seemed to be meshing with the team and with the Kawasaki and finally getting physically healthy and mentally healthy, I think, there towards the end of the season last year. Comes in here strong.
Rodney, look at this. Jordan Ashburn is up and charging. I mean, that was a hellacious hit that he took. I mean, that was a brutal crash, hard hit to the ground. He did pop right up to his feet, kind of rolled out of it, which helped. But still, for him to be that close to Josh Strang and charging that quickly, we may see him back up battling for a podium before this one's over.
I expect that. I honestly do. As quickly as the way he bounced back up to his feet, I mean, he literally stood straight up, rolled and landed on his feet nearly, and got right back on that bike. So, like I said, the only position lost was the one to Josh Strang, and not a lot of time because he really got back on that pretty quick considering how hard and how quick he went down there.
Yeah, phenomenal recovery, and he's making it work. And as hard as he did hit the ground, to now over a mile later to still be charging, it shows that although he's probably going to be sore tomorrow and he might have some ailments, he's obviously not injured and he's able to continue and continue fighting for a podium.
Well, as we said, waiting Waiting on, well, there's Ricky Russell, there's Josh Strang, Jordan Ashburn, all through the finish line. 1 minute and 59 seconds now separating Russell and Russell. Josh Strang, 12.3 seconds back. Here's the important factor on that one. He turned an 8-second faster lap. Can he gain 4 more seconds and challenge Ricky Russell here in this final lap of racing? Jordan Ashburn checking in 17 seconds behind Josh Strang. Not a lot of time lost there for him. A lap time of 30 minutes and 26 seconds. And coming up after this, we'll be waiting to see. I expect that we'll be seeing probably physically on the racetrack here pretty soon Jonathan Gerard checking in that number 5 position. I'm not sure if Lane Michael's still ahead of him out there or not, but we're about ready to find out whether or not that's the case. But time adjustment.
There is Johnny Gerard right there.
So he does have the physical lead over the number 523 and the time-adjusted lead now over Lane Michael, it appears. Mike Witkowski we should be expecting to see check in here fairly shortly, as well as Gerard checks in and out of the finish line region now. That is a 5th place position. Lap time for him, 29:57. He's running those XC1 times right now.
Well, we're talking about Mike Witkowski, but we may see Craig DeLong be the next rider. He was hot on the heels of Mike Witkowski in our last shot, and I mean, it was literally a matter of maybe 3 seconds back. Mike Witkowski's surely going to put up a fight, but I'm not going to be surprised if we see either Craig DeLong, the next rider through, or right on Mike Witkowski.
Well, we'll wait here for just a couple moments. They should be checking in at about any time in that position battles. They were only about 30 seconds behind Johnny Gerard. It looks like he's really stretched things out quite a bit over the rest of the field, and that unless we miss Witkowski and DeLong coming through, and that's not the case yet.
No, they have not come through yet. Now, I'll tell you what, look at this. Craig DeLong has taken over the number 2 spot, hot on his heels, the 282 Ampro Yamaha of Mike Witkowski. These guys are going to have an all-out war over this 2nd place spot, but Johnny Gerard has opened up a comfortable lead.
Well, gloves are off, my friends, and still I don't think we've seen the 523 of Lane Michael check in physically, so our front 3 in the XC2 have gotten by Lane Michael physically as well on time adjustments here on the next to final lap. As we roll into the final lap of racing, we'll take a look at some of these other classes. We'll pick the action back up, or the classes back up at the Senior A class here in just a moment. But still waiting just a couple more moments to see if another one of our riders are going to check in, as we are probably not anytime soon. So let's go ahead and check in with the Senior A class. We see Mr. Steve Hatch has made his way down here to Bike Week. And of course, Steve, good to see you down here. We'll get a word in with you in just a moment. Right now, Senior A 40+ class, Campbell Hall, New York's smiling Frank Messina, 7 minutes 16. That's a lot to smile about, Frank. Leading that one, 2nd place at 9:88 of Jeff Huston out of Amesville, Ohio. 3rd place at 53 of Shotgun Sean Remington out of New Salem, PA. Tough break for his little guy. Little Sean last night yesterday broke his arm in the 50cc action, but he's tougher than nails, man. Doesn't seem to be affected by it any. 720 Larry Sylvia out of Monticello, Georgia, in 4th and 5th place position then is Joel Stoles out of Union City, Pennsylvania. Open B class now is Gustavo Cordona out of Doral, Florida, leading John McGee, the 429. See a little bit of a change there as that rider from Lexington, South Carolina, drops to 2nd. Matt Sorge out of Atco, New Jersey, in 3rd. Craig Oberholzer now in 4th as we see him drop a spot out of Alexis, North Carolina. In 5th place, a 428 of Gregory Tenney out of Philippi, West Virginia. Waiting on the leaders right now at the 3-mile marker. We'll check back in with them when they get here. Right now, 250B class, Benjamin Bluin out of Sherbrooke, Quebec, Canada, leading Ezra Prine to 531 from Shinston, West Virginia. A 7-minute 2-second deficit between 1st and 2nd. Trent Gaither, the 425 from Olin, North Carolina, 1 minute and 18 seconds back in 3rd to 520 of Wyatt Schumann out of Rome, Pennsylvania, only 13 seconds off pace in 4th. And Benjamin Waka, the 391 out of Keystone, Florida, rounds out the top 5. Lap times right now, it appears that Trent Gaither should have 3rd place locked down if he can maintain the pace that he's riding and the other guys don't pick it up any. 150B, Lucas Grounds, as I like to call him, Lightning Lucas, the 912 from Martinsville, Indiana, leading by nearly 20 seconds over the 413 of Toby Cleveland from Aaron, New York. Lawton, PA is Cooper Jones, the 803rd. 4th place, the 366 of Anthony Blackburn from South Park, Pennsylvania. In 5th place, the 435 of Michael Scott from Waverly Hall, Georgia. 4-stroke B lights class, Blaiston Moore, Drew Calloway, 1 and 2. Blaiston Moore out of Gloucester, Ohio on the 4:09. Had a 5-minute, 13-second lead over Drew Calloway from Denver, North Carolina. The 4:52 of Lake Plowman from Waverly, Illinois in third. And fourth place, the 4:55 of Chase Starkey from Bridgeport, West Virginia. Fifth place then, the 4:62 of Garrett Elrod from Oakland, Kentucky. As we move next to the 250B class, I believe. No, it's the Vet B class. Sorry about that. Nick Cordona leading the Vet B class now. Cordona from Doral, Florida. Michael Richards out of Frisco, Texas, the 390. Is that Kramer out here racing in the B class today? Could be. 404, Matthew Petrola out of Avondale, Pennsylvania in the number 3 spot. The 814 of David Espinoza from Sunny Isles, Florida in fourth. And Joselie Ramos, the 987 from Marietta, Georgia, rounds out the top 5. Vet B 30-plus class. Brett Belsel from Medina, Ohio, the 281, followed by then the 130 of Leon Whitaker from Warren, Ohio, the 744 of Mike Horwit from Normalville, Pennsylvania, and the 361 of Lance White from Advanced, North Carolina in that senior B 40-plus class. And that's your rundown here today. Brought to you by your good friends there at Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, MMI. Get there faster, smarter, and picking up the action now as Ricky Russell checks in with our FMF PowerPoint now, still running some 2 minutes off the pace of Caleb Russell as we checked in at the end of lap number 5. A lap time of 29:35 was Caleb Russell. Ricky Russell, some 30 seconds, about 27 seconds, 28 seconds off that pace with a 30-minute and 2-second lap time. Josh Strang, on the other hand, a 29:53, not faster than Caleb Russell, but definitely faster than Ricky Russell by just a handful of seconds, and that about 9 seconds, 8 and some change likely. As we said, 12.3 seconds is what separate the two riders physically on the track. But then, of course, we'll see if he gets him in sight. Maybe that might inspire him to maybe starting to put the push on and reel him in even more. So we could see that battle for second place. So there you have it. That is the number 127, Jordan Ashburn, checking in now some 20 seconds behind Josh Strang. The question is, will he be able to close that gap back up on his teammate? Will Josh Strang be able to tackle Ricky Russell as he's closing that gap here on the final lap? And, of course, Caleb Russell, will anybody stop him with that 2-minute gap? That's probably not going to happen, but all the action happened back in second. Stick around to find out how it all pans out when GNCC Live continues after this.
Yamaha's Aaron Plessinger grew up in the shadows of the off-road trails of the Grand National Cross Country Championship. A skilled youth rider and son of racing legend Scott Plessinger, a two-time champion of the toughest racing series in America, it was expected to see the young Aaron follow in the footsteps of his father to be one of the off-road greats. However, after earning championships as a youth racer in the 65cc, 85cc, and Super Mini classes, he found himself longing for the motocross track, where he had enjoyed many successes as well. As an amateur in MX, Plessinger first caught the eye of the motocross world when he dominated the 250 and 450B classes at the AMA Amateur National Motocross Championship Finals at Loretta Lynn's. That following year, in 2014, he captured 4 250cc Supercross class wins as well as an Arena Cross win. These accomplishments helped to set the stage to him earning the 2015 Supercross Rookie of the Year. Aaron won the 2018 250 AMA Pro Motocross Championship. Another great thing to add to Aaron's story is the fact that as he was making his transition into motocross and supercross stardom, he found time to visit his roots and take top amateur honors several times in 2011 and 2012. In 2013, Aaron battled relentlessly with Jason Thomas for the XC2 Pro Lights Class win at North Carolina's famed Still Creek GNCC. And that's this week in Yamaha history.
That was fun to watch.
That was. Rumor has it he'll be back at Ironman.
Yeah, I don't know. We should put a whole lot of eggs in that basket, but that would be really cool to see for sure, obviously.
No doubt. It's good to have Aaron Plessinger back with us today, no doubt about it. Caleb Russell checking in at the 6-mile marker already as we are joined in booth now by one of the former GNCC greats, Mr. Steve Hatch. Lane Michael out of this one, and that's not a good story right there. Have to get Mikey Waynes on that one to maybe get an idea of what happened out there.
I think we're looking at heat exhaustion and overexertion. You could tell by the way he was riding the last couple laps. He was done. He's either had a crash or he's just, physically.
Definitely some wind out of his cells, for sure.
He's got something going on with his body there.
Well, as we said, Steve Hatch, former GNCC great, joining us here. Steve, welcome back to the GNCC Racing Nation, my friend.
Thank you very much, Rodney. Appreciate it, and it's always great to be back here and seeing you guys. And I've been back here doing some of this the last couple of years, and last year got pretty busy, and I started pedaling more and not being back talking to you guys as much. So I said, you know what, I need to get back here and say hi, and it's always great to be here in Florida and the gnarliness. And you and Johnny have been through all this stuff so many times, and this track is brutal, so I kind of give a little cheat sheet to my riders and, the top 3, and it's one of the most physical tracks, obviously, of the year and the deepest, hardest.
Who's some of the riders you're working with right now?
So Johnny Girard is one of my guys this year, so excited with him. Working with Simon Johnson, Ryder Lafferty, bunch of great riders all the way through.
Seen some good and notable improvements by Ryder Lafferty, by
the
way. I do want to point that out.
Well, thank you. He's really working hard. All these riders are great people, and, that's the fun thing for me.
Wow, that's second and third coming through there.
Yeah, that is really shaping up to be a battle right down to the wire for that second place position.
That's going to be a great battle for sure. So just a lot of riders, and it's great to work with them. And the same thing with life is trying to bring out the best of them in their racing, which is the same as bringing out the best in life of everything we tackle and the challenges we have are just like racing one of these gnarly races. So it's fun to see them doing better and really working at their craft.
Well, I'll tell you what, my life's been like a Florida racetrack here lately. I'll tell you that.
Steve, as we're watching that on screen, Ricky Russell and Josh Train, you can both see the pure determination, the heart, the push that they have, but you can almost see their bodies in this track just fighting back against them. They're trying so hard. They're stuffing it into the berms. They're so hard on the throttle, but it's almost counterproductive. Caleb Russell now 1 mile ahead at the 7-mile marker, just kind of flowing, hitting his lines. Those guys are trying so hard, but you can see this track is so rough. They're so fatigued, understandably so. Man, it's really going to be just a battle of will and determination between those two, I believe, over the second place position.
No, you're exactly right, Johnny. I think one of the tricks is you can see it. Their upper body strength is pretty much smoked at this point, and right here before we saw Ricky Russell stuff it in that berm, almost go over the bars, just because you're used to X amount, say a 9 on your upper body strength, and when you hit that with a 1, it almost rips the bike out of your hand. So staying in the right position, and everybody's haggard at this point, besides Caleb, it looks like, just really trying to get it so that they can be smooth and not hit anything too hard that's going to use so much energy. And it's a brutal track. They're looking for smooth lines, and there isn't any.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, and I've really never heard that analogy before of a 9 upper body strength dropping to a 1, but that's about accurate. I mean, I can tell you from experience. I mean, yesterday out there, the last lap, you're hitting whoops, you're hitting palmetto roots, and it honestly feels like you're hanging on to the handlebars with cooked spaghetti noodles. Like your arms are just jello, and like in your mind, like, hey, these are the same arms that were working just fine for me 30 minutes ago, and internal strength to it where you keep forcing yourself to keep going. You don't quit, you don't slow down, but the physical fatigue is real. You can't overcome that with mentally. The only thing you can do is just work through it the best you can and try to prepare yourself better for the future, because when your arms are gone, when your legs are gone, they're gone. It's not a matter of guys will say, well, you just got to be tough. Well, yes, you keep going, you make the best of it, you dig, you sit down where you can, you rest, you push, you do everything you can to maximize what you have left. But when you're out of juice, man, you're out of juice.
Yeah.
And that brings me to a good question right here. Do you train when you train somebody? I mean, you don't want them to wear out, but do you train them to be mentally tough whenever it comes to that point where, okay, you've reached your physical limits, now we've got to start relying on you? Do you train for things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the biggest ones. You know, especially at the top level, as you guys know, everybody's physically fit, everybody's fast, and it really comes down to the mental. So we definitely train on that. Yeah, it looks like a great race here. Ricky Russell coming
We've
through.
lost Josh Strang.
Yeah, Josh is not even in sight on this one, so maybe a little bit of a miscue on his part. But we've also, look at that the handguard still flopping around there. It's getting even. So it don't seem to really appear to be causing him any issues or any problems. There's Josh Strang.
So it's opened up just a little bit. He's still within striking distance, but it definitely is a bigger gap than what we had seen.
Yeah, to get back to your question, Rodney, absolutely. The mental side's such a big one. It's hard to really get in that physical state, and Johnny can, I'm sure, attest to this. When you beat yourself up for 2.5, 3 hours, you just seen pink elephants for the last hour. I don't care how fit you are, you know? So it's like, can you actually go through there when there's just barely any brain matter left, stay mentally and physically strong the best you can, pick smart lines, because as soon as the mental goes out, you go into the bad lines, you get sucked into a mud hole, all the stupid stuff, and then it just magnifies it where you just beat yourself. So it's really hard to get a rider to that point, but we really try to train them for that and just say it's going to be tough, it's going to be brutal, and don't give them the easy way out, because the race should be the easiest point. So, and part of the racing, so when you train, it should be physical, but also mental, and trying to figure that out on that side, which is really hard to duplicate a 3-hour GNCC with the roughness, but if you know that going in, you already have the mindset, it's going to be brutal.
Right.
And pack a lunch and be ready to battle and to face all your demons and go forward.
Yeah, demons, and you'll face them, that's for sure, as we roll through there. There's Jordan Ashburn checking in now as well. He's lost a little bit of time, it looks like, over Strang.
If I can add one more thing to that, you know, that was a great question you asked, Steve, in terms of the, you know, the mental toughness it takes no matter how much you train physically. And years ago, you know, Jason Wygant, when I had at a point in my career where I was not finishing a lot of races, I was quitting races and pulling out of races because I was just so fatigued mentally and physically and just didn't have the strength to keep going. And so people convinced me, man, like this was when everybody started really training and I wasn't even really riding at home. I was just kind of relying on talent, I guess. And it was such a struggle. But then when I started training, I think the hardest thing for me to understand was I was training, I was riding bicycles, I was fit, more fit than I had been, not as much as we are today, but it was still so hard mentally. And I remember having an interview with Weege, and he said, you know, what's the biggest thing? I got back on the podium after a long time. He said, what's the biggest thing that you've learned through all this? And I said, I've learned that being in shape doesn't afford you the ability to race 2 hours in a GNCC, or in this case, these guys 3 hours, without feeling pain. It allows you this mental strength to know that you've put in the preparation. So if you're hurting, so's the guy in front of you, so's the guy behind you. And if you want to beat them, you got to be tougher than them, and you got to just keep digging, because you're done. Like physically, you're depleted, you're in pain, your hands hurt, your arms hurt. And, you know, a lot of these guys, and I've said this before, I'm not a multi-time champion. I'm not trying to keep secrets close to the vest. So I can tell you, they'll never admit it. Johnny Gerard on screen leading the way in the XC2 class. Johnny Gerard is going to, you know, after this, he's going to say how great he felt and, you know, his training all paid off. But the reality is he is in a state of suffering that most people can't even wrap their head around right now. Caleb Russell will tell you how easy this day was. He is absolutely, if you've seen the heart rate data he posted, it's superhuman what these guys are putting themselves through, but they'll make it seem like this is what we trained for, this is fine. No, that's not true. That is a bold-faced lie. They have trained not only their bodies, but their minds that this is fine. It is totally fine to exert 600% of the energy that an average human should in a 3-hour period, because I've taught myself that it's fine. People at home, this is, you know, this is the stuff of legends, you know, to see guys push themselves this far in this hard.
No, that's great. I love all the analogies there, and you're exactly right, Johnny. One of the cool things behind the scenes, I never, you know, now I tell the riders I train and coach, but I kept it pretty tight to the vest back in the day when I was competing for the race wins, and I would always run in sprint hills. So I had hills, and I named them Devil's Playground. I had all of them, and I would do it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Why? Hottest time of the day, and the GNCCs are 1 o'clock till 4 o'clock. So I'd run those and sprint the hills. Not only the physical pain, I knew nobody else was pretty much dumb enough to do that, and mentally it was everything, because I barely could move my foot, and yet I was go up to the tops, sprinting it, and jog back down, and sprint again, and jog back down over and over and over.
That was the advantage that you had over a lot of the riders back in that day, I think. And we got another beautiful Yamaha Skycam view here, Johnny Gallagher, as we watch Caleb Russell making his way.
I mean, he's
through
just
this section of track.
At this point, he is checking off mile markers. You know, he knows exactly where he's at. He's already seen the 9. He's working on the 10. Next up will be the 11, and then when he comes behind the start, he'll see the 12, and at that point, he knows he's down to 1 mile. I mean, you know, we've all been in this position, Steve. You know, at this point, it's not a matter of, okay, well, I'm still racing. I mean, he's ready for this to be over. He's enjoying the moment. He's enjoying the experience. But, you know, Rodney, in your starting line interview, he said, I'm looking forward to racing today, and I'm looking more forward to possibly never racing in Florida again. and that was a very real moment for Caleb Russell, knowing what he was. Oh, Ricky Russell connects with the lapped rider. He keeps it upright, but they locked bars at a high rate of speed. Josh Strang just behind there still.
Yeah. So
that was a very, very, very close call for Ricky Russell.
Wow. Unbelievable. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that right there is not a position that Ricky wants to find himself in at this juncture in the race, chasing Caleb Russell, looking for checkers in at least a second-place position, and that company coming in with Josh Strang back there.
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, again, this is watching these guys' body language. I mean, look how he kind of sits down and waits. He's looking over his shoulder. He's whiskey through there. I mean, he's giving it. This is, you know, absolute endurance athlete stuff right here, but he is done. I mean, he is giving it everything. He knows exactly how much track he has left. At this point, I can tell you from yesterday, you know, I wasn't in a podium spot by a long shot, but when I got to that point, you're no longer counting mile markers. You're counting corners. You're like, man, I got these 4 corners here, then I got that straight stretch, and I just need to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Here we see on screen Ricky Russell coming into where we have this beautiful shot from the Yamaha Racing Skycam. We've got our drone operator chasing these guys through the trees, and this gives you a real look at just what this course looks like. This is probably the easiest section of the course, and it is still just absolutely brutal. Whoop after whoop after whoop after rut after, man, just beating these guys in their machines silly.
Well, guys, it's been great. I'm going to zip down to the finish line and cheer on my guys. And
right.
Always an honor, so thank you,
yes,
Rodney.
Definitely
Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for joining us, Steve.
Always
Always great to have you. And again, Ricky Russell here. We were hoping to get a bird's eye view of this battle between Ricky Russell and Josh Strang, but right now they're not quite close enough for that. But what we are getting is a bird's eye view of Ricky Russell watching that Coastal Racing, Bicon Racing, Husqvarna, that FC350 just bounce his way through these whoops, carve these corners, and chip away at the mile markers, chip away. Oh, there is Josh Strang, and chip away at the corners and the distance between him and his second straight GNCC podium in second place. Josh Strang not going to make it easy on him. The Australian out of Denver, North Carolina is where he now calls home. He is charging, and I tell you what, Rodney, we thought we might see a resurgence of Josh Strang based on his performance at Big Buck. Today, this man just dug way past the bottom of the bucket and just kept digging, and is going to be rewarded, as it looks right now, with at the very least a third-place position and still within a fighting chance of second.
Boy, what a great another great building block for Josh Strang here at the opening of the 2020 season. And not want to take anything away from Josh, but I kind of wondered where he was headed. Now I see where he wants to go.
You know, and I got to tell you, I don't know if you heard his post-race interview that I did with him after. I know you were on the show, but I don't know if you caught what he said. He said, you know, or it may have been on the podium. He said, you know, I came in. He said, I just really love this Kawasaki motorcycle. He said, I'm not really here necessarily just to win races, although that's always nice. Caleb Russell on screen coming out. He is at the 12-mile marker. Josh Strang working his way into the VP Fuels Pro Row, just behind the second-place rider, Ricky Russell. But Caleb Russell standing up, absorbing the bumps, working that Red Bull Racing factory KTM, FMF KTM, and working his way towards the finish line. Josh Strang said something that really resonated with me. He said, basically, there is Josh Strang on screen. He said, I'm here to help Kawasaki sell motorcycles and explain that Kawasaki is back into off-road. They're investing in it. They want to be a part of it. I want to help them make that happen. Was that Ricky Russell that was laying there?
I'm not
I don't want to alarm anyone, but that may have been Ricky Russell laying in that corner picking up his bike. Can we get a shot of VP Fuels Pro Row to confirm?
All right, we're going to try to look back to see exactly what that was or who that may have been. We just
It could have been a lapped rider.
Yeah.
I don't want to alarm anyone, but it almost looked like the color combination of gear that Ricky Russell was wearing. We'll see if we can get a shot here as they come maybe out of VP Fuels Pro Row. If we can get a shot with our drone where they come out. Now, the bike is gone. He was picking it up as he came back by, but if we can get a shot of that. Heck, Rodney, I might just step out of the booth here. There they go. One of the riders just went by. Don't know who it is for sure. We'll find out here very soon.
Well, right now we wait with bated breath to see exactly what is happening there. There's your XC2 battle that we see coming at us right now. And as far as the battle is concerned,
Craig DeLong.
Craig DeLong out there.
Ooh, Mike Witkowski back into second. He is back around Craig DeLong.
Exactly.
That's what we see, Rodney. Look at this. These guys talk about digging. Riding with wet noodles for arms, and they are making it happen.
Well, I know Mike Witkowski. We know how strong he is. We saw him put together some great battles and some great rides there last year, and to be able to start up front and be able to lead like this and maybe fall off but still have the oomph, it looks like, to still challenge like that, to still try to stay a part of the front of the pack. Pretty impressive. I think we've seen a lot of growth out of Mike Witkowski, and this is just the continuing growth that we've been seeing, I think, over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. You know, he's with a great team, a great group of people. He's got some good guidance from Randy Hawkins and that entire AmPro Yamaha team. They've really put a lot of work into this kid. They see him as the future, along with Lane Michael, 2 young kids that are able to take that brand and that team into the future. And it's looking great for Mike Witkowski so far with a win at round 1, and now here battling, but in the second place spot, not too far behind Johnny Girard, but at this point not looking like a threat for a win, but still a second place finish. Caleb Russell crosses the finish line in his 62nd GNCC win. Rodney Tomlin, you're gonna have to give a hats off to this guy and just tell him, wow, what a run, what a race, way to get the job done. And, we know behind him there is still a fever battle over that second place spot between Ricky Russell and Josh Strang. And to finish up that thought about Josh Strang said this: I had fun today racing my dirt bike. He said, I just want to have fun. I've been doing this for 14 years. 14 years Josh Strang has been racing in the XC1 class at GNCC, and he said, man, I've been doing this a long time. He said, and I had a lot of fun racing my dirt bike today, and I feel like as much as I want good results, I just want to have fun. And I said, Josh, if you're having fun, the results will come. I guess he's having fun racing his dirt bike again today.
I think he's having a lot of fun today again, so congratulations to him on that so far. And looks like Caleb Russell has done it. We saw him cross the finish line there, taking win number 62 here in Florida. And, of course, that's 2 wins out of 2 in 2020. And, again, watching this, you have to wonder, is Caleb Russell going to be touchable? I know we talked about this a couple of years ago when Walker Fowler was going for the perfect season, and I hate to put it out there like that, especially only 2 races in. But, man, I'll tell you, the perfect storm and scenario for that to happen might be this season. But it's going to be tough.
Ricky Russell did go down.
So we're getting the word there. Go ahead, Johnny.
They're saying Ricky Russell did go down. So we believe we may possibly be looking at, if I'm understanding from our producer. I'm fairly certain. Here we go. We got some Cowie guys.
There it is.
Oh, that's a lap rider there.
No,
Yep.
that's just a lap rider. You're
Yep,
right.
that's a lap rider coming through.
Actually, that's JoJo Cunningham, I believe, checking in there.
So we should be waiting for the number 114 of Josh Strang or the number 121 of Ricky Russell. It looks like they're clapping. It is Josh Strang that is going to snag the second place position here. So moving up 1, we were talking about him having fun riding his dirt bike. Josh Strang just had fun for 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 19 seconds in the Florida Sands and is rewarded with a hard-fought second place. Now, was Ricky Russell able to pick himself up and salvage a podium, or will Jordan Ashburn inherit that third-place podium spot?
How big would that be to see 2 Kawasaki's on the podium in one day, especially with Dan Fahey and all the guys from
Ricky Russell down again, right there in the pines. He's laying on the ground, picking his machine up. He's trying to get going. They're cheering him on. He's trying to get that Coastal Racing Husqvarna started. He's got it started. He's doing everything he can to try to get to the finish line. That 2 big crashes right there in the waning moments of this one. Almost another one there. Ricky Russell is exhausted, folks, but he's rewarded with a third-place spot.
There you go, exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head. Exhausted for sure as Caleb Russell takes the win by 2 minutes and 7 seconds over Josh Strang. Ricky Russell does it. He pulls it in the third-place position, just 44 seconds behind Josh Strang after leading him up until about a mile or so before the checker flag.
Here is that XC2 battle that we're seeing from our Yamaha Skycam. This is Mike Witkowski, the 282 machine. He holds on to that second-place spot, but just out of camera shot. Just behind him on this incredibly rough, big Wild Boar GNCC course we know is the third-place rider of Craig DeLong on that Rockstar Racing Husqvarna, who's been chipping away all day. When Mike Witkowski was leading, Craig DeLong was trying to track him down. He actually made the pass. Last lap was ahead of him. There he is just in the background. You can see him in that black and yellow Fly Racing Rockstar gear. Mike Witkowski with a big kick, and these guys are leaving it all out there, Rodney. And this battle is going to go right down to the final corners. As we look back, here is Craig DeLong, and he is still close enough to make a charge. He can see him ahead of him, and he's not going to give up, Rodney. He's going to keep fighting.
I haven't seen our riders put this much and exert this much energy in quite some time from a standpoint like this. This is just crazy how exciting that was, and wow, what a day, what a great day again. Caleb Russell taking the win, Josh Strang in second, Ricky Russell in the number 3 spot, and we're going to head down to the Specialized Winner's Circle where Mikey Wayne stands by with Caleb Russell.
Well, thanks, guys, down here with Caleb Russell. Caleb, the farewell tour, round number 2, another win.
Yeah, it was a tough day. Got a great start, fortunately, and just kind of did my own thing. Just tried to do the same thing that I did at Big Buck, just ride really good. Just ride smooth and patient, not make any mistakes, and yeah, I just kept that pretty steady pace there the first 3 or 4 laps, and really throughout the whole thing. But yeah, I was able to get that buffer and just kind of bide my time and ride mistake-free laps. And you know, it's easy to do that when you're not under pressure. You can kind of do your own thing and pick your lines and get around the lappers a little bit stress-free. So it was a good day, a brutal course. It wasn't as bad as it has been in years past. I don't know why, but I don't know why that is, but it just seemed a little bit easier this year than normally. But still, nonetheless, my hands are killing me, man. they're smoked. So I'm gonna be feeling it tomorrow.
Be feeling it tomorrow, man. So how do you keep yourself focused? I know farewell tour, that's got to be you're a pro, but it's got to be a little distracting, a little bit of a different feel compared to years past.
Yeah, it's different. But I think it's good for me. I'm a lot. I can't say a lot happier, but I don't know. It's like this weight's been lifted off of me, and like I said, like I keep telling people, there's there's an ending to there's an actual ending now. You know, where before there's a start and an end, but as soon as it ends, it starts all over again. So now there's like an actual ending. So it's like it's just yeah, it's different.
Caleb, we love watching you have fun, man. Congratulations, your winner here at the Wild Boar GNCC, Caleb Russell.
On screen, here. Sorry, Rodney, here it comes. The battle, look at how close they got to Johnny Gerard. Johnny Gerard coming in, winning that XC2. There's Mike Witkowski, and look at what he stretched out over Craig DeLong in just those last couple turns. Still no Craig DeLong.
I'll tell you, I have not seen Caleb Russell ever in his life as genuinely happy and without any pressure whatsoever on him as we watch. Is that Evan Smith?
Craig DeLong.
Craig DeLong.
Craig DeLong coming through 3rd place in XC2. Yeah, I agree, Rodney. Absolutely.
He, you know, I see, you know, I've known Caleb since he was a little kid, and I watched him go through the ranks, whether it was his shyness or whether it was his, whatever the case may be as he grew up. I've never seen the personality that I've seen out of Caleb Russell is what I'm seeing right now. You see him come through the gate, he smiles, he stops, he waves, he takes a minute just to soak it all in, and just to see that is just so cool.
He put it in his own words right there in that interview, Rodney. He said, you know, I feel like this weight has been lifted off me. He said, I can see now that there's an end to all this. And he doesn't mean that in a bad way. That he wants it to be over. But when you're in that grind, week in and week out, year in and year out, day in and day out, and there's no end in sight, like you don't appreciate the opportunities that you have, the people that you get to reach, and what you get to do. Caleb Russell right now is growing and learning a true appreciation for what his life's work has been. And man, he's wearing it well. He is. And one other thing that surprised me in that interview, he acknowledged the fact that his hands were smoked and that he was going to be feeling it tomorrow. We talked about these guys keep things close to the chest. Caleb Russell admitted that he pushed himself to grab this win today.
And he did it with a smile. And speaking of some big accomplishments today, Josh Strang finishing up in the number 2 spot. He's with Mikey Waynes now.
Well, Josh Strang, man, getting some major momentum here in 2020, man. A podium finish, a 2nd place finish for you here.
Yeah, it was difficult. The track was, man, it was just rough from the first lap. You know, the morning race. Just the slower guys in this sand. I think they call it sugar sand, and that's exactly what it is. They just, whenever you roll the bumps, that bumps just get bigger and bigger, and the sand's so loose. It's so hard to keep on top of them. You might keep on top of 3, and then you'll fall into a couple, and it's just gnarly. So I didn't do myself any favors. Got a bad start, and then it was difficult to pass there. And some of the guys had some creative lines there the first lap, and I mean, I rode the course, pre-rode the course twice, and I didn't see him. But anyway, it was a good day overall.
Well, man, congratulations on the podium finish. What's a mindset? Back-to-back podiums for you. What's a mindset heading in a short week until the next race in Georgia?
Yeah, just keep doing it, keep having fun. Today it was really hard to have fun, so it was, like I said, a brutal race, but just keep trying to enjoy it and get the Babbitt's Monster Energy Kawasaki up on the podium.
You did well today. Josh, we'll let you get rehydrated, brother. Congratulations. Josh Strang, second place here.
All righty, so there you go. Caleb Russell and Josh Strang. Strang in the number 2 spot, having fun, just like you said,
yeah.
Johnny.
Having fun and doing a great job of that. And you know, you mentioned, Rodney, you know, you've watched these guys through their entire careers here in GNCC racing, and you know, you pick up on the subtleties that a lot of people don't. And you know, you've said, hey, both these guys are, you know, they're really kind of have a difference in their words and their attitudes. You know, these two guys have been bitter competitors, not bitter in a respectful way,
right.
Competitors throughout their careers. Here they are going 1-2, you know, again this weekend, but they both just seem happy to be here, happy to be doing what they love to do, happy to have the opportunities they have, and enjoying what both of them can tell you and anyone can tell you. This is not an enjoyable track. This is not an enjoyable race. So to enjoy it, it has to be enjoying the experience,
right.
not the actual action. So awesome day of racing. And from what I understand, oh, look at that. Todd Kellett crossing the line in 6th place, only 36 seconds behind the 5th place ride. Hats off to you, Todd Kellett. Welcome to GNCC Racing. Welcome to a top 10 overall, and welcome to the family, man. We'd love to have you back. We'd love to see you come do some more if your schedule and the opportunities present themselves. But we did hear the word. Ricky Russell will not be joining us for the post-race interview.
I would almost have to think, the way I saw that last little bit, he has to have been zapped. Going down like that, and going down again, his energy, I think probably that just led to what we saw there. But nonetheless, stellar performance by Ricky Russell. Can't take anything away from him, whether we get a chance to get a word in with him or not here on Racer TV. Our hats off to him. Great ride. He's back in the pits. Hopefully we'll see him on the podium here in just a few minutes.
I'm sure he'll try to make it up. And I can tell you, a lot of times people will kind of get up in arms about that. But when you're in that bad of shape, you need to go back. You need to get some fluids in. You need to regroup.
Yes.
And Steve Hatch said it best. You're seeing pink elephants for that last hour. And if you're in that point, you need to do all you can do to start recovering for your health and well-being. I do see a man standing in front of our backdrop, which I believe may be the number 969 of Johnny Girard, the first-time XC2 winner, and I think we got a word with him, and Mikey Waynes may be ready.
Johnny Girard, man, I believe Johnny just said it, the other Johnny G. I believe this is the first XC2 win for you, right?
Yes, it is.
All right, man, so put it in perspective. What made the difference for you today? You're coming off a podium finish at Big Buck. You come out here. What made the difference for the win?
Honestly, in Big Buck, I just didn't hydrate and prepare for the race right. It was totally my fault, and I knew it, and I knew I had a lot more to show, so I was coming out here and wanting this win bad.
Well, you certainly earned it, man. What's in store for Johnny Girard moving throughout the rest of this season?
Just continue to try to do good and get on the podium and, go after this XC2 championship and the Pro 2 championship in full gas sprint enduro, and that's my plan for the year.
All right, brother. Well, congratulations. Enjoy this win. Johnny Girard with his first win on the Trail Jesters KTM here in the XC2.
And there you go, Johnny G, the other Johnny G, taking his first ever win. A historical day here in Florida for that rider, and of course I'm quite sure very memorable, not only for him but for everybody that tried to traverse these sands out here. Johnny, like you said, we were talking off mic, and I pointed out yesterday that this likely could be the roughest Florida track we've seen in quite some time, just simply because of the dryness of how deep that sand got. It's so dry, it got pushed away, and it just started making more and more of those bumps and those whoops, and just made it very, very tough out there.
This GNCC course here at Wild Boar, it's always rough here. Florida's always rough. We talk about how it's the roughest race of the year. This one, in my opinion, I've raced every GNCC Florida race since 1994, and this was the roughest one by far. It's just something about this track, the way it's shaped up. It just absolutely zapped everybody, and hats off to everyone who finished or even attempted.
There you go, exactly. Hats off to everyone. Congratulations to our winners again in the XC1 class. Of course, talking about Caleb Russell in the XC2 class, talking about Johnny Gerard, and of course, looking for our XC3 FMF class win as well here. Done lost the computer connection, so not sure who's going to get that one. Johnny, you got that one pulled up on your phone? I think it was.
Well, I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
The
FMF XC3?
Yeah.
They had not crossed the line yet.
Okay. All right. So, well, look online for your results, and of course, be following GNCCRacing.com. We'll be live tomorrow with RacerTV. We'll be at the Ricky Carmichael Amateur Supercross at Daytona International Speedway.
I'll be washing and prepping bikes for Georgia.
And then we'll be heading up to Georgia after that for next weekend's racing on Saturday and Sunday. So make sure you tune in to GNCCRacing.com and, of course, RacerTV.com to keep up with all the details. On behalf of all of us here at RacerTV.com, Mikey Waynes and, of course, Johnny Gallagher, I'm Rodney Tomlin saying good day, everybody.